Bow hunting all comes down to a moment. And in the moment, you want equipment on your bow that will get the job done. Trophy Ridge products are the tools bow hunters trust. React technology sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers to help a bow hunter be successful in the field. And those tools are from Trophy Ridge. Join us at a Friends of NRA event where freedom, fun, and firearms come together like nowhere else. With more than 600 events held across the country, there's always one happening near you. From exciting games to exclusive auctions featuring one-of-a-kind firearms and gear you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a lifelong hunter, a competitive shooter, or simply passionate about defending freedom, there is a seat for you. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you and get ready for a night you won't forget.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And I just talked to Nate the other day with Huntworth, and he is sending me a bunch of stuff for the Patreon hunt. So I sent out an email to the Patreons about the Patreon hunt. So if you're planning on going, please let me know. Putting together some good stuff to give away. I'm going to reach out to a couple of the other companies. They usually come through pretty well for me, and this year Huntworth is no exception. So really excited about that. Get over there, check out their new Saginaw line and that Heat Boost merino gloves and hat. Couldn't be happier about that. So get over there, check that out. And they do have a clearance section, some pretty good stuff in there as well. And free shipping right now on orders over $200. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And while you're poking around, check over on Latitude. They've got the back straps in now in Ranger Green, as well as that Ranger 33 in Ranger Green. Method 3s are back in stock, and you can save 15% over there by using code BHC. But that Method 3 is really cool, and the new pouches that they have are amazing. So definitely, if you're in the market for another pouch, the operator pouches, like the mini, more flexible bino harnesses for your sides. And it looks like right now they may be sold out. So when those come back in stock, check them out. They are really cool. So definitely get over there, check those out if you haven't seen them. Try and get your hands on one. Maybe they've got them at some of your local retailers. And check out the stuff from Genesis 3D, Austin and Hope over there, doing some great stuff. If you buy one thing, if you're like, I'm not Mr. Knick-Knack guy, the tether button is just my favorite thing. I talk about it all the time. Genesis 3D tether button. Thank me later. Go check it out. And, give some love to the guys at Zinger and Canati. Big Shot Targets, you can save 10% over there with BCP over at Big Shot. So, all that being said, this podcast, super fun. Nate just got back from Wyoming. I don't want to say like medium country. Not high country, not low country, mule deer hunt, trying to do spot and stalk with a bow, and turned into quite a debacle. So fun discussion. Love talking with Nate, always fun. And then we kind of split off and kind of talk about what I've got going on and for the upcoming season, bear hunt, all that sort of stuff. So fun stuff. Again, if you're a Patreon, definitely get a hold of me if you're planning on coming up to camp, so we can make sure we got room for everybody. We'll have room for everybody. I just want to make sure I can place everybody appropriately. So, as always, thanks for listening. Enjoy the episode. All right, everybody. We are here today with kind of a joint podcast here. We got Mr. Nate Roosevelt, Michigan Wild Pod. And if you're tuning in on Nate's platform, I am Adam Miller from the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. And I have heard zero about this hunt. And actually, Nate did a very poor job of communicating with us. So we're in this group, this collaboration, Rome. We're trying to get all this stuff together. And I think we got maybe collectively 4 text messages. That was like pictures of some bucks. They're on private. I'm going to let the 300 Win Mag eat. And I think that is about the extent of it. Does that sound about right, Nate?
Dude, that is exactly what happened. But yeah, welcome to the podcast, guys, wherever you're listening to this. No, that trip I went on in Wyoming, my strategy was I'm going to buy Starlink and use it if I have to, and I didn't really need to ever use it, so it was very nice to not have much communication. And sorry to all my buddies who wanted updates. Don't feel bad at them. No one got them, really. So I was just riding solo. My battery never died on my phone because I was never using it. No service. It was in airplane mode all the time, and I was having the time of my life.
Maybe that's why, because he brought his wife out there. Let's let's go ahead and kind of set the stage for this hunt. Like, where did you go? What did you do? How long did it take you to plan this? All that stuff.
So anyone that knows me, I fly by the seat of my pants, and that's pretty much how this hunt went. It was one of those things was never on the radar, and then did not draw Kansas this year. And did not apply to Iowa. So this was going to be the year of Kansas and Iowa. Kansas bow hunting, Iowa gun tag, and it kind of all just fizzled out really quick. The Iowa thing was something my dad did every other year, but just the way the schedule worked with where we go and stuff, we decided to push that back a year. And then about a week or two later is when I realized I didn't draw Kansas either. So I went from having a fun fall to all of a sudden I got nothing. And shout out to Brandon, Tyler, Travis. They've been on the podcast a couple of times. They had reached out to me last year and said, "Hey, we go out west, once a year. You should go with us sometime." And I had told them I'm not applying for that because I'm probably going to hunt Iowa and Kansas. Well, they heard that I didn't get it, and Tyler instantly reached out and said, "Hey, you need to put in for this hunt or this tag." As a non-resident, like you have a solid chance that you might get it with no preference points. And I said, deal. I asked the wife, I said, hey, we could go. It could be a September bow hunt, it'd be warmer weather. She's been dying to go out west, and she likes doing that kind of stuff. And I said, what do you think? She's like, go for it. So I applied for it and got drawn for just a general deer tag. So it's good for mule deer or whitetail. And I was kind of interested in that tag just because it was different state out west, could potentially shoot something in velvet, which I have yet to do, which is not like a high bucket list item, but also I can go chase some critters with velvet and do something different in September and not, mess up any whitetail hunting. Let's go for it. And that was kind of what started it. Was the Tyler Travis had been there, done that, and he said you should do it, and I did it, and I got the tag, and it was like, sweet. And that's about as much effort as I put into it.
So with that, like, intel wise, did those guys say, here's the area, here's what we did? Because we're doing something, I think you would essentially be our Tyler and Travis.
Yes.
For where we're going in Kansas. Now, I went to Kansas before. For those guys who haven't, your guys that are listening maybe don't know who I am. And 100% flew by the seat of my pants. I drew on accident. Mm-hmm. And had a great time. And it's funny because Nate is like, oh, I fly by the seat of my pants. And he's like the most like calculated guy, like from that perspective, at least the way that I see it, because like when I say I fly by the seat of my pants, like Nate's like, well, I'm flying by the seat of my pants, but I'm looking for this level of deer. I'm doing this, and I'm out straight having a good time. And my level of expectation is way different. And he's like, oh, I'm just going on these, I don't even know what to say. Like these hikes, these bow hikes, because I don't ever shoot anything. I pass so many deer. It's it's not even funny. I pass everything. I don't shoot deer out of state. It's not a big deal.
We are very polar opposites when it comes to take. That's for sure. But I guess my definition of flying by the seat of the pants is I don't get too wound up in pre-digital scouting or looking up harvest data or any of that stuff. I essentially just turn me loose and I go. Like that's when I do all those out-of-state hunts, which I've talked to you and before. I've never went to the same spot twice. Like I've never hunted the same public beast twice out of state. I'm always just drop me in somewhere and I will cover some serious ground, try to find, that deer that gets me excited. And sometimes I pass a lot of deer that a lot of guys wouldn't, but that's me. So planning a Western hunt probably isn't really, it's something I've done before, but having Tyler, being there, done that, he gave me a crazy amount of information. Like he's very organized with his pins and his tracks, and he just sent everything over. Said, this is what we did. 4 of us gun hunted this area last year. This is where we went. And I had like this plethora of pins and like locations. So in my head, I was like, well, those are just going to be where I'm going to start. You look at mountain terrain on a digital map and not seeing it with my eyes, I can't tell if I can walk in somewhere or not. And knowing that they had walked there and could do it, that made it really easy. So from my perspective, it was like, okay, I have a great starting point. Like I'm just going to start at some of these points and see what it looks like and then kind of adjust accordingly once we're there. So flying by the seat of my pants, yes, I'm very calculated with trying to kill a certain type of deer, and I do a lot of nature walks, nature hunts, I guess. Like I like to watch stuff. I'm not necessarily a killer when I go out of state, but I do not stress the small details of a hunt when I go out of state.
Now, this was a bow hunt then?
Yeah. So yes, it's both. My tag's good for the whole season, so that includes I bought the extra. I think it was like maybe $100 for the archery season, which is the whole month of September, and then my gun season I want to say is somewhere around October 20th to the 31st. I can gun hunt in that same unit or same area.
Okay, so your wife says go for it. You draw the tag. You get the pins. Where does your planning start from then?
So then it was more of just like, when we can go, can she get time off for that opening week? And then it was, I guess, planning wise, I would have liked to have spent more time, doing some like investing some more, like, I guess, digital scouting there, which now I feel like I can do because I've seen it, but just not knowing anything, I was like, I'm just going to roll into town, a day or an afternoon early, kind of drive around the block, see what it looks like, and we're just going to start hunting the next day and be super flexible. Like, I'm not going to just say I'm going to camp out this one spot all the time. I have a truck with a rooftop tent, and we can be mobile, like in that way. So it was essentially just, work down the list of pins and, if they said that they seen deer over here, well, the wind's blowing this way, well, maybe we got to go glass from this point. And, that's kind of how I based off the majority of it. And then, so for me, very low stress hunt. Like this was not there was zero desire or like when you're on a November bow hunt, maybe like for me, I do a really good job not getting too crazy, but like if I go to Iowa with a gun in my hands, like there is like this level of like, I got 5 days, like, I got to kill something kind of because I only have 5 days and I'm in Iowa. I can only do this so often. This being like a general tag hunt in a huge area, it was more of like, I've never mountain hunted before. We're just going to go have a good time. And I felt like if I got to do one stalk or got in the game on one deer, be that a whitetail or mule deer, that was going to be a success for me. So my mindset going into it was very just like, let's just enjoy this. And we're hunting the mountains. Like, what is this? Kind of a thing.
And so never experiencing that before, like the terrain, like and I don't know, the size of the areas that you were in, but, having done it a bunch of times now, like I know that the first time I went out there, like it was, I don't know, cause I was in the mountains for the Marines and stuff, but like going out and being like, okay, well, I'm going to go from here to here. Like it was staggering, like the distance, and especially when you're looking at like you had mentioned, like the terrain and looking at a digital map, like looking at, like really, really trying to figure out topo lines and and stuff like that. So like perception or like thoughts going into it versus like reality when you got out there, like how much of a learning curve, how steep was the learning curve there?
So I guess I did go on a Wyoming bear hunt in 23 in June. That was an outfitted thing through Working Class Bowhunter. So that was, I seen what mountains looked like, and we horseback rode through those. So when I did that hunt at like 8,000 feet, I think is where we were approximately. I think I shot a bear like 8,500 feet or something, and just seeing what we went over with a horse, and then like the walk I did to like get to the point I shot my bear and like go up and get the bear. When I looked, and I obviously could look at the topo map and see what that looked like, and then the one night a guy shot a bear and we walked in and fouled, went in on foot. It's way different. So like when I could see on the map some of those areas, I was like, ooh, that's, you ain't just walking over that. So I think like mindset wise, it was easy for me to be like, okay, all these pins that Tyler sent, I know that we can make these walks. Like especially if we, as soon as I got the tag, essentially, me and Ashley did a really good job of, putting forth effort every week into like training for it. And my training was mostly weighted vest, just because I knew I was gonna be carrying a pack and wanted to know how that tears you up just in whitetail hunting. So we did a really good job of like, getting physically prepared for it. And then also where we started wasn't as high as where we ended. So I knew how elevation bothered me when I went my bear hunt. Like I got elevation sickness really bad because I went way too hard on day one. So I was like, we're gonna camp at like 5-ish to 6,000 feet the first couple days, and then if we can't find anything, we'll move into the higher elevation, towards the back half of the hunt, because that sucks. Like I don't know if you've ever had elevation sickness, but that was brutal. Like that was, talk about feeling like you're gonna die. Like you can't, your head's pounding so hard you can't breathe. You want to puke. Your body hurts. Like it's a sucky 24-hour deal. At least it was for me. So I did not want to do that again.
So and this is not fair, but you had like a built-in like safety net from that standpoint.
Yes.
So did you have like medication for altitude sickness? Did you have like what was your planning as far as like what you brought with you? Because you had essentially access to whatever you needed had you
Yes.
put in the forethought.
Correct. Yeah. So like I was fairly confident because of the bear hunt that went on. If we just acclimate ourselves, we'd be fine. So knowing that we were going to start at low elevation and work up to it, I wasn't really that worried about getting it that bad. And like we were hydrating really well. So we kind of learned on the bear hunt, like, hey, we got to do some of these things to not have that happen. Because even Ashley got it a little bit on the bear hunt as well. And I also knew on the map where we were starting, we weren't that far away from a town. So like that was one of the first things I did was, okay, where are we kind of hunting? Where's the closest like food? Where's the closest hospital? Where's all this stuff? Because I don't know how rugged this is, and where we started was not very rugged. Like you could see houses, you could, it might have taken you a while to get to the town from like a road perspective, but it did not have this like backcountry feel on the first few days of the hunt. So knowing that before I went there was like super like I was like, okay, this is no big deal. This is really no different than you know, public land whitetail hunting around home, kind of thing. Like, hey, we can traverse the terrain. We can, any direction we go, we're not gonna get lost. Like I have visual. And then when we got into the mountains, it was a lot different. But that was nice knowing we could ease into the hunt. And that just so like my stress like level was like this is no big deal. Like it wasn't like a backcountry elk hunt where you go hike in 10 miles and you're staying out there. Like this was truck is base camp. We are going to be able to, park the truck anywhere and sleep because it's got a rooftop tent. Like we have home base, and which to me makes a hunt super easy because everything I need is in the truck.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that because I don't know. I've done it both ways, and I don't know. Like I'm still chasing that, backcountry, and even like, and John even says like, what we did, like for our quote unquote backcountry hunt, wasn't nearly like an actual backcountry hunt, but it was way more like remote than what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And like I'm just thinking in my head, like Wyoming is the least populated state in the United States, and you were able to see a town. So that's gives me like some idea of like where you were at.
Yes,
Not
this
like,
was.
you know,
I was trying to cherry pick the first couple days, like strictly early season whitetail on food source. That was my hope. Like find public that is very close to private pivot fields or green sources or whatever, and try to play on that. Like that was kind of my like thought process. Like, hey, maybe this will work. Like we can, strictly bed to food or catch them coming off food and, glass them up during the morning and go sneak up on them. That was what I envisioned to start the hunt. And then when we ended the hunt, which we'll get into the story about some decisions that were made, that was like we were like 2.5 hours away from any town, like dirt, sketchy 2-track kind of stuff. That's where we ended the hunt, which that's a different feel than where we started. That was like, what, like, whoa, this is, like you said, Wyoming, there's nothing. There's nothing but cows. Like, in the spaces that we found cows, I was like, what? Like, they're like elk out there. It's nuts. So
do you think, so it sounds like you've hunted with your wife or she's come on some of these trips before. And
yes.
Yeah, I, I'm just thinking about, something you told me once about like you have some rules about what you can and can't do without your wife.
They're good rules.
Interesting. But do you think that you would have planned to hunt or that you would have done anything different had you had a different hunting partner?
No, probably. Well, not really, because she's just like, if I say we're walking over that hill, she's like going to follow me, which is super nice. And I did push that a little bit on day 2, or maybe it was day 1. Yeah, day 1. And I was like, I went a little hard. Like her feet proved that I went a little hard. And then we did a death hike one morning, and I was like, that was a bit much. But it's different because I've hunted with guys who also like, if me and you went, we both had tags, right? Like that's a whole different dynamic. Like when you're hunting together, this was more like I just have a tag, so like we're just gonna enjoy this. Like this was let's go find some cool places and see what we can make happen. So I never once did I feel like I'm probably gonna go back with a gun and try to do it just because I have that tag and I don't have any other crazy whitetail hunt lined up yet. And I kind of thought about that a little bit. I was like, okay, if I were to go do this by myself, would I do the backpack with a tent on my back and go, camp somewhere? And I don't think I can being the first time out there. Like, I really liked being able to just hop in a truck and go drive 2-3 hours one way and just see what's going on. And like, it's dark now, pull off the side of the road, pop the tent up and sleep for the night and make dinner and eat good and then learn it. Now, if me and her do this more often, it's like, hey, we know that valley is the sweet spot, or we know we got to do that 2-3 hour walk in, and we're going to be in them. Then I might, adjust strategy a little bit. But for a fun hunt, for me and my wife going out there and enjoying that, I don't think I really could have done it much differently for my first time going out there.
What time of year was your bear hunt?
That was in June. So that would be they had like 5 feet of snow. Like there was snow still on the ground, so that was right in the spring. So similar like feel weather wise, except we were a little bit warmer doing it in September than what it was in June.
Well, the only reason that I ask is because like I'm not overly familiar with Wyoming's seasonal changes, but I can tell you, like when I was in, I feel like it was like the beginning, it might have been middle of October in Colorado. Like it was like we got 10 inches of snow like the one night, and we were in, I think we stopped in Wyoming. And it was like blowing and nasty. And then there was like some of the passes were closing and stuff like that. So, I mean, just because of like the remoteness and everything for Wyoming, I would definitely, make some legitimate plans for extraction? And like, did you have
Yes.
like a like a Garmin, like a InReach or
No,
anything like that?
nope, I didn't have that because we
You
had a
had your
Starlink,
Starlink and you were
which worked with the phone. So like that was, and I had experience with that out in Wyoming at the bear camp. Like they had that, and then did all my downloads of maps, before heading out there, and I did look at like the average temperature before, like when it was like 2 weeks before we were out. I was like, what is like this average temperature? And it was like high of 80, low of like 50, like somewhere in there. And I'm like, that's like t-shirt and gym shorts, like weather. So we packed a couple, in case it got rain or anything like that. But I did look and like it's hard to like, when you do your weather checks, like you don't really know where you're gonna end up. So, and I know the mountains can be a lot different, but I essentially just looked at the forecast and saw like average temperatures and was like, okay, first week of September, really low possibility for a blizzard or anything crazy like that. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to go there, because she definitely doesn't handle the cold like I can. So doing an October gun hunt out there, I was like, it could be pretty cold probably. Maybe not, but also you have that possibility of a little bit colder weather. So this was just a fair weather. I mean, I guess you could elk hunt that time. There was guys elk
well,
hunting out there too, but it was like where I was at, I did not have the feel of like this crazy mountain weather.
well, and that's kind of like where I was leading into was like, seems like a lot of bullshit for a whitetail. I mean, and that's kind of like the way that the guys
Hmm.
feel like it, from what I've heard about the guys in Montana. So when we went out to Idaho, came back through and stopped at John's buddy's house. I don't remember if it was on the way out there or the way back. And they're like, there's like 130s all over. There's no big bucks. And like for me, I'm like, 130, hell yeah, every day.
Yes.
But it's like they just don't really care about them. And so, like, if you're talking about like going into the mountains and all these passes and finding this like honey hole back in the valley or some shit, like, there's no, I mean, it's like you should be doing that for elk or,
Yes. Yes.
it just seems like so. From your experience out there, let's get into like the hunting, like how,
Yeah.
so for you and I both, I feel like our first trips to Kansas, it took all of like an hour to find deer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was it like when you got out to Wyoming?
So yeah, I mean, any Midwest, whitetail hunt that I've been on, I've been going out of state for a long time. The only time I ever struggled to find deer was Land Between Lakes in Kentucky. When one of the first trips me and my dad did, pre-Onyx, pre that stuff, I struggled to find deer for like 2 days just because I didn't even have a map back then. Like this was just show up and we started driving around two tracks and we finally learned like, oh, this is where the deer are, and then we found them. Southern Illinois, it took me about a day, maybe a solid day to like find deer, and I was like, oh, found deer, and a buddy shot a deer the next morning, kind of a thing. So I've always been able to find deer relatively quick when I go out of state. This was a little different. This was I was like, there's gonna be mule deer everywhere. I could see for miles. Like this is gonna be great. I can look at the map and get on a high point and glass, and I already got pins in areas that these guys have seen deer before. So like, let's just go find deer. We got there the day before season. We glassed on this really beautiful high point and some rocks. We could oversee this huge valley that led into private land ag fields, and did not see a mule deer. Like saw antelope, saw coyotes, we saw three huge bulls, two smaller raghorn bulls were fighting right by the truck. Like we were surrounded by wildlife, everything but mule deer. And I was really whitetails, right? Like we are finding everything. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So we just X'd off this huge, and we probably glassed for 5 or 6 hours, like in the evening, like all the way to dark. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like this was a hard place to get to. I didn't find any human sign, no fresh tire tracks anywhere. It was kind of like I was like, this is gonna be awesome. There's no one out here. Like there was not a soul. Like I didn't find any hunters, the day before. So that was more in the lower country. Like I said, playing off the trying to get early season, food to bed, typical pattern on ag field. So then opening day, we had a decent plan for the morning. We were going to, never been in the spot before, so I was like, hey, let's just let it be light for an hour maybe, and we'll just we'll sneak our way into it. We're going to have the high ground the whole way. Let's get up high and just, sneak up to this edge, and we'll glass this whole other like coulees and canyons and stuff, and we'll be able to see ag field in the distance. We did that. A lot of great antelope, again, whitetails again, no mule deer. And I was like, oh boy, what's going on here? So and the one mistake I did make, I guess, on that first full day was the assumption that we could walk in, walk out, walk in walk in, go back to the truck, and then go back out for the evening hunt, which I think would be fine if it wasn't so hot. Like when you're dealing with 88 degrees and you're walking, you're 2.5 miles from the truck, with any sort of pack or any kind of, footwear, like just putting that many miles on my feet with sweaty feet I definitely have to maybe look into something a little different if I'm gonna do more of this hot weather hunting. My fall crispy uninsulated boots did not, like, you're just walking in saturated feet, and wasn't like I'm on my feet all the time. Well, that kind of tore my feet up a little bit, but it really tore up my wife's feet. Like, she got it way worse than me. So we did that day one, and we walked out there in the morning, glass, didn't find a mule deer. Looked at it some more, and I was like, if we get to this point, that's like we're going to be right up against the private ag. We can glass back into the coulees. The wind was right for it. Let's go for it. We did that on opening night, and sure enough, there's just piles of whitetails coming, on the private land, and one really nice buck. Like, I would have shot the crap out of him if I could have. We ended up sitting there for hours. Like, we were 5 hour sit plus and glassing the whole time, and we ended up not seeing mule deer on the public. And right at last light, 3 mule deer bucks came out of the private from like I don't even know where they really came from, because I think they were just probably bedded in some crap by the farmstead or something. And then they just stayed on private the whole time. They weren't very big at all. They were small mule deer. And it was kind of like, okay, this spot, like, we're done. Like, this isn't working. We can see for miles, and I didn't catch any mule deer coming from public going to private. They're deep on private. But I kind of want to get permission on that private if I can. Like, so I was like, by the end of this hunt, I need to put some effort into getting permission on that. So that was day one. And we got back to the truck that night, and we did had the little single burner propane stove or butane stove plus jet boil, and we made all of our meals and stuff. So that was really nice. And as we're doing it, I'm like looking at the map. I'm like, okay, we're at this elevation. We've been here for now a half a day of glassing, one full day of hunting. Haven't located a mule deer in this whole area. Let's go try something that looks different. And, I had a plethora of pins to look at, and there was one glassing knob that Tyler had done before, and he said he'd seen some deer. And I was like, Ashley, we can get up in the morning, drive the truck over there, and we're going to do this little death hike up this hill, and we'll oversee this beautiful, like, country. Like, it just looks cool. Like, we got to do this. So we did that day too. We got up, everything was going good. We got on top of the point, gray light kind of a thing, and sat there and just had a really nice nature sighting, looking at birds and, more antelope and some cows and no mule deer. So then I'm like, we got down. I was like, I got to drive around some more. Like, we kind of bailed, like, after a couple hours, and I started driving around, and where we were, there was a lot of standing corn, like a lot, like acres and acres and acres of standing corn. And I had noticed that morning, I think it was that morning. Yeah. In the dark, there was a small mule deer buck that was crossing the road of private, and he was kind of close to some public. So I told Ash, I was like, we need to drive back that way. And I want to see what that looks like. And where he was heading from or going back into was corn. And I was like, oh, there's corn. Like, I didn't notice this when we were first here, because I didn't spend much time over there. Like, we got there the day before, and I went right to where we wanted to glass. And then, so I was like, we're going to drive around town a little bit and, see if we can glass anything up. And yeah, tons of corn. So my gut was like, we got to get away from here, because if I was a mule deer and I lived in this country, I would be spending time in the corn. Like, that's where I would want to be. Whitetails do that a lot too. So that was just kind of my gut reaction. And we kind of bailed on that area, and we went to I think it's a national forest, they call it, up there. And we went 2 or 3 hours away, and gotten to some higher elevation on day. Let's see, what time was that? Yeah, we did a sit day 2 in the evening. We went and sat in some national forest stuff and beautiful valley, and it was loaded with cows down in there. So I was really struggling trying to figure out where cows were and where cows weren't because they just free range cattle out there. Which I don't know if you've dealt with that elk hunting, but I was not prepared for that.
Yep. Yep. And so, like, I don't know how, like, my wife is fairly indifferent about hunting unless I shoot something. Then it's like, why aren't you coming home? Type thing. So, but like sometimes you'll hear like guys talk about like, well, how come you're not seeing anything, or like blah 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 blah. So how is it when your wife is like by your side and she's essentially just following you around, and you're, you know, at least twice the size of your wife, and so she's got to take 2 steps, you know, for every step that you take, and that's the way that my wife would be too. I mean,
she reminded me more than once on this trip. You know, I'm only 5'2", and you're 6'1". I was like, "What?" She's like, "How did you expect me to climb through those rocks like that?" I was like, "I'm sorry, babe." Like, she was a trooper, and she took every opportunity to tell me how bad of a mule deer hunter I was on this trip. So it was really good. But she did, and this is the first time I've ever had to use glass this much, you know, spotting, and she really enjoyed doing that part of it. We had some brutal sits, which we can get into, but she was definitely enjoying, you know, seeing the elk or seeing the antelope, the little bit of whitetails we did, and she would think she saw something, and she was constantly glassing, like, asking me questions that were great questions, but I was like, she's like, "What am I looking for?" I was like, "An antler?" I said, "A white butt?" Like, I don't know, like how to. I've yet to find one laying down, so I don't even know how to find them. But we did going into or after we got done hunting Tuesday morning, so our second morning. I told Ashley, I said, we need to find some trees. Like, I want to look. I think they're going to be at higher elevation in some trees because it just made sense to me. I was like, they're not down here. We got to make a big swing and find some like cover. And I was like, I want some cover and some higher elevation, just because I've watched a lot of YouTube videos over the years, and that's where, like, you know, I don't know if they label it, like, I don't know what makes it a high country mule deer, but like, you know, you see those and they're like overlooking a valley, and they always like will come out of like, you know, those I don't even know if they're aspens or if they're whatever pine trees they have out there. So that was what I was like, we've looked at everything else, like these crazy coulees, these, you know, sage bush hillsides and stuff. Like, let's go find some trees. And that's when we went north. Like,
So-
we're going up in there.
so have you, or maybe you'll get into this, like if you ever find frickin' mule deer, but
Hey, you've seen a picture. I found some.
but like, have you considered, because I don't know anything about like mule deer behavior, you know, I mean, outside of like South Dakota mule deer or whatever, like my guess is like when they talk about like high country, it doesn't mean like plains or like foothills type hunt. It means like when you're in the mountains. And I just wonder, like, just from what you're talking about, and like you are like, even though I think at the beginning there, you think that you're hunting mule deer, like what you think mule deer do, you're still whitetail hunting essentially, like what you're
100%.
doing. And, you know, elk, they want to be higher where the temperature is, because they can't cool themselves down. So that's why they're up at higher elevations, and they're on the north side and all of these things, because their temperature regulation is different than, you know, like what we are used to. And then, you know, obviously whitetails, we hunt them on essentially flat ground or like, you know, hill country, but it's nothing like mountains.
Yes.
So is that what you know, even, you know, I can just see your wife in the truck for, you know, 20 hours, like on the way back, like, this is what mule deer do. Like, you didn't know this, like,
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah,
So
we both are as educated as each other now. Like, she's just as good of a mule deer hunter as me after this trip.
just as successful.
Yeah, just as yes. Yes, I had no. Mule deer is an interesting critter to me because you guys will kill them and standing corn, like not like combine cornfield. I mean, how many stalks have we seen on YouTube? A dude shoots a giant mule deer on this flat ground, sneaks up to him. He's bedded in the middle of a cornfield. He sneaks up and shoots him. Or I've seen, a lot of Canada. I feel like some of those canola fields and stuff, you'll catch them. So I kind of was like, when I looked at the maps, it's like, oh, maybe I'll get lucky and have a hunt like that, which I feel is like probably one of the easier ways to like introduce yourself into shooting a mule deer, right? Like flatter country, more wide open. You can get eyes on them and try to do that. So I was fully anticipating I was going to be like army crawling up on a deer bedded somewhere. Like that's what I kind of had envisioned. And short, going into day 3, I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Like I'm not finding them that way. But yeah, my it's hard not to hunt them like whitetails because that's what I knew, right? Like that's how my brain was working. Like it was funny when we were going back in, like trying to get between bedding and food source. I was, well, there's a pinch, there's look at how that, coulee cuts around there. If I sit around that edge, I'll catch them there, kind of a thing. Like that's what my mindset was like I'm ambushing these things because I can't find them bedded. I just assumed I was really bad with a spotter, which I probably still am. Maybe there were a bunch of mule deer there. I just couldn't find them. And then it went from play on the evening movement, watch them walking, and try to sneak around and get an arrow in one while they're moving around. So yeah, that was what my hunt turned into. And day 3, I was very, very, very close to letting an arrow loose with that mindset. You want me to talk about it? You got any other questions? I mean, you want to give me a hard time some more? Or
I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm saying like this is what I'm hearing you say. Like
it is.
This is the first time I'm hearing the story about any of this because
I love it.
You didn't call anybody, so screw you. But
so
in any event,
day two, we hunted the evening. Day 2 in like the crazy drive into the mountains. Parked the truck and we like bombed in on the side of this like I'd call it a mountain at that point, and I could like overlook like all these canyons essentially dumped into this big valley, and I could like see down a long ways. And we kind of walked in there, and that is when I finally found mule deer sign. I found mule deer tracks, I found mule deer poop, I found all that stuff, and I was like, okay, they do exist. We're at like 7,500 feet, so like they're definitely up higher still. And it was kind of hard to like, when that was the first sign I seen, it was hard to know how like how fresh is this? Like, are these tracks old? Are these tracks fresh? Is this crap like been here for 3 days? Has it been here for a day? Like, so it took some doing to like figure that out. So we oversaw that.
I just want to like ask you real quick. Just because we've already established that you're, for whatever reason, always looking for a certain class of animal or anything like that. Like, when we talk about like, and you and I have had this conversation a bunch, like about hunting with our kids and stuff like that. And like making, like for me, it's always about making memories and stuff like that. Like, what was your criteria for shooting a mule deer when you're like, oh, they were just little bucks or like whatever, like, but to be able to kill one, like on a hunt with your wife, and share that experience, like going into it, what was your like mindset of like, oh, it has to be, people kill 190, 200 inch mule deer around here. So that's what I'm going for.
No, that's a great question because we actually talked about that on the way over there. And I kind of was like talking to my wife about it, and I was like, I would like to shoot. It was the same thing I had when I went on my bear hunt. Like, I want to shoot a bear that's like a bear. Like, I want it to not be a dog. I don't want it to be a German Shepherd. I want it to be about as big as me, which is 250 pounds. So, unfortunately, the first bear I seen the first night was that size and bigger, and I got super lucky with that. So, this mule deer hunt was like, well, don't know anything about it, never shot a velvet thing, but like, what do I want? Like, what am I looking for? And I told Ashley, I was like, I don't know if I can shoot like a spike or a forky mule deer. Like, I guess if you'd say a 1.5 old mule deer, I don't know what point in time they like develop forks. But I was like, if I could shoot a mule deer that's like Pope and Young-esque, like for a mule deer, so like I would give them probably 15 or 20 inches on a whitetail. So like it was an inch thing, like 130-ish was kind of like my thing. So I wanted it to be like, my dream would be just had a fork on one side. Like that's all I wanted. Like it's a mule deer rack, right? And the first three we seen that first night were like, one was like a spike, another one was like a 4 point, like a 2x2, and the other one, I don't know what the other one was. He was like trying to be something he wasn't, kind of a thing. And we actually laughed. I was like, oh, look how cute those things are. Like they were just the three little amigos out there, just gallivanting around, not really caring. And I was like, man, for a 2.5 mile pack out, like that's not. I don't think I need to shoot one of those. It's kind of where like we laughed about. I was like, let's go see if we can find something different. That's kind of like where I was at, and I was totally fine. Like I've told you many times, like I don't need to fill a tag. Like I'm all about hunting the whole hunt, and if I don't kill something, fine. Which my history, good thing because I don't kill much when I go out of state. So, but yeah, that was what I was thinking. Like I wanted a deer with a fork, like the split G2. I thought would be sweet. And when we got done hunting on day 2, I was a little frustrated because that spot had mule deer sign, and we sat there for like 5 hours, and I could glass like crazy cool hillsides, and we had a really good advantage. Like I actually thought about the sun when we went in there. Like, okay, the sun's gonna be coming over perfect. We're gonna have all these advantages, and if I spot a mule deer, we have all these options to go sneak up on one. Like, let's go find one. Like, we should be able to glass one up here. We're sneaking around, like still hunting through, like playing the wind. Like I feel like I was like feeling pretty good about like where we ended up, and then just nothing, just nothing but cows. And so I was a little frustrated day 2. Like it was kind of at that point in the hunt where I think every person deals with this if they go on a rutcation or if they go on a hunt, be that a guided hunt, be that a public land hunt. There's a point in the hunt where it's like you got to face it, like this isn't working, or I haven't had success yet. What am I going to do and how I'm going to handle this? And I was pretty like, just drove a crazy amount of time and like still nothing. Was like looking at the map while we're sitting there, like trying to figure out where we're going to go to. I was like, we can't stay here. We got to go again. And I was just looking at the map, and I was like, well, if I get through this area, I'll get on the other side of the mountain. Maybe they're up another 1,000 feet, like that 8,000 feet. Now where can I park the truck and sleep for the night? And we kind of went to the one spot, and that was a bust because there's nowhere to park the truck. And then I was like, all right, we're just going to keep going. And happened to find this little side road. And I was like, I think we can park the truck here, sleep. First thing in the morning, I can get out of the truck and I can glass 30 yards from the truck. And I can like look at something that we have yet to look up. Like I could just tell on the map it looked different. And just park the truck randomly on the top of this point, and we spent the night. And going into morning number 3, I did that exact thing. Woke up at gray light, got everything all situated, sat my butt down, started glassing, and in 10 minutes, boom, saw a mule deer with my binos. And I was like, it like surprised me because I've spent just hours, looking, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a mule deer walking at like 500 yards, and I could see it. And I looked at it, I was like, holy crap, mule deer. Like, I like fist pumped, like, yes, I finally, like, it was so exciting just to see a mule deer with the binos. Like, I was like, holy crap. And then I like, started looking some more, and it's like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. And there was 4 does, 2 does and 2 fawns. And then I was like, well, where are they going? And I kind of like looked some more, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a mule deer buck, and like nice one, like probably bigger than what I would have like told you earlier. Like I feel like it's a really nice buck. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And they're like in the middle of this public piece that we're on. So I got like 1,000 yards all around me that is public land, and then it meets private. And they're on like the valley going up into this wooded like mountainside. And I'm like, I watched them for like an hour, and I'm like, they're gonna bed on public. This is gonna be great. I was like, the wind's in my face. We're gonna be able to walk this ridge top, and I'll drop in on there, and like, holy cow, it's gonna happen. Well, 45 minutes goes by, an hour goes by, they still have yet to bed. And I'm like skiing in my head. I'm like, do I have enough time to like, should I have like ran after them? And I'm like, I couldn't, because like all the openness was between me and the deer. And I was like, everyone that I've talked to, like I got some buddies that mule deer hunted, and like one buddy lives in South Dakota, and he has a lot of spot and stalk, and he's like, if you can get eyes on them, watch them for as long as you can. Your best bet is when they bed, then make your move, especially with a bow. So I was like, all right, I'm watching them, and then buggers just hung out and like kept getting farther and farther and farther away. They're like 1,000 yards away, and I watched them go up through this like up this hillside, and there's like this beautiful like I'm like looking at Onyx, and I'm like measuring this distance, and there's this gap in between these rocks where these deer went up, I thought. And it's only like 60 yards wide. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that is the perfect bow setup. Like right there. So I lost track of them, got Ashley, and like videotaped them because she wasn't gonna believe me, and she's like, "Holy crap! Like there is mule deer here! Wow!" And I was like, "We found them finally! Like they're in the trees. They're at 8,000-ish feet. Like we figured it out! Like yes, there's mule deer." And then it wasn't like, what do we do now? And I decided to go check out one more spot, which I don't know if that was I think it was the right call. Like, because there was a spot that I had looked the night before and with a buddy, and he was like, if you could get to that peak, that'd probably be a really good glassing point. So like I like 3D imaged and did the tracker and like found these like areas to cross through rocks and did all that night before bed. So I found those deer. I was like, they probably went to bed over there. Let's go see if we can get up that mountain, because if we can get up there, that's like another great like spot. Because if this doesn't work, we have that in our back pocket maybe. Because at that point in time, I'm still like, we just got to just diversify. So we go do this death march up this, like it was way worse than I thought, but we could get through it, which was, I was right. So we get to that high point, and the trees are so tall we can't see nothing. Like it was like, oh, my wife was so pissed. She's like dying because like so I was sick before we went on this trip. I don't know what I had, probably COVID or something. I don't know, but I was dying. Like felt like I got ran over by a golf cart, and I couldn't hardly talk. And then I got better by like Monday, and then she ended up getting sick this day. And we're like walking up this thing, and I'm like, we're almost there. And she's like, I just want to get up this freaking hill and have this be over with. And I'm like, we're almost there. Like, we're getting there. See, there's the rocks we gotta get to. And we get up there, and there's like, literally, you can't see nothing because the trees are too tall. And I looked at her. I said, well, this would be a really nice spot to have a picnic if we brought any food. And she didn't want to hear it. That was a bad call on my part. So that was like elk hunting. Like I told her when we got done with that, I said, that was the taste of what elk hunting is probably like. So we need to be in even better shape than we think we are. But yeah, then it was just full on evening, set up on that buck. It was what we did the rest of the day. And I don't know, do you want me to kind of like break down of like what I was thinking, or
it's your
what, I guess,
podcast too, man.
No, I'm saying you're the question guy. I mean, I feel like I've talked about this a little bit already, but is there anything that's like jumping off to you? Because I had a billion questions going through my head when I saw this, but like essentially the last time I saw this deer was going into private through, I assumed there's two pinches. One was 60 yards wide and one was like 100 yards wide. The 100-yard wide one was on private, but the 60-yard one was on public. So I was like really excited going into the evening hunt.
And so I guess like from that, like you said, I feel like that's where what ultimately like came to my mind was like, so when John and I were elk hunting, we had like kind of like a similar situation in that like we found these elk and then got winded, then found another elk that night, and I screwed it up or whatever, but we knew that there was elk in the area. The next morning, we go in there, we blow out all the elk. I mean, like it sounded like an avalanche. Like,
oh my gosh,
these elk, like we came around the corner and like this whole herd of elk just was mowing down trees and like everything. And like, you get really defeated. But then we just pressed on. We were like, well, no, there's elk in the area. You know, they travel frickin' miles and miles and miles. So we didn't know like what was going on, but they were there for a reason and because there was some water there. And then we ended up calling in this bull and I just couldn't get a shot at him. And it was, I mean, it was like the peaks and valleys are so high, but then the situation that I feel like you're finding yourself in is when I couldn't get a shot at that elk, they just worked off and we knew that they were going to go bed. Like we didn't know where, but like looking at the map, looking at the, you know, where the sun was going to be, like everything, like we knew with a pretty good inkling they were going to be there. And so we had found a wallow and all this stuff. So we sat at the wallow until we felt like it was time to like make a move. Like you're like at an impasse. Like probably the move was going to be, we should have just stayed at the wallow the whole time and splashed around and, you know, waited for one to come back over. But we got impatient. And so we didn't do that. We snuck over to where they were bedded. I called one time. The bull, he was literally, I mean, probably less than 100 yards from where John was. He did a roundup bugle and then took his cows away. Like, and, you know, after the fact, it was cool. We talked to Tyler Crockett at ATA because like the year before, no, that year I could have hunted with him with my buddy Joe. And so it was just kind of funny because we ran into him and I was like, oh yeah, you know, Joe, like blah, 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 the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, we got into some bulls. And I'm like, I think, so we had to run it by him. Like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I probably would have done the same thing. And he's like, you know, 50% of the time they come over to you and 50% of the time they run off. So, you know, it doesn't matter.
60% of the time it works every time.
So, but like, that's like, I feel like where you're at in this is like, you're at this like impasse of like, you're pretty sure they're over there, but like, you've never done this before. These are the first mule deer that you've kind of got yourself, you know, you feel like you're in the game, you know, for the first time. And then you do have that like pressure. And it's funny to say pressure because I'm like, oh, I don't ever feel pressure about like hunting and stuff like that. But we can get into that in a minute because this year's nuts. But I
got questions for you.
But it's like, what do? You like you feel like you put in all this work, and I can't imagine like the added pressure of like having your wife tagging along because, you know, we both have like very supportive spouses and stuff, but even at the same time, like you said, like you're never going to hear the end of that death march. You're never going to hear the end of any of this. So like, then you have that like thing in your head and like you being such like a big softy, I guarantee you're thinking like, you know, about her experience too, like much more differently than, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier is like, it's much different if you were hunting with me or God forbid you were hunting with Brad. Like,
yeah, Brad, I would be like, see ya, dude, you little hobbit, follow me if you can.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
that's a great point. I just, what jumped to my mind when you said that was when we made our trip to the mountains, I purposely took a longer path to go there because there was like bighorn sheep like area. It looked like there was a lot of rocky stuff, and I knew Wyoming had bighorn sheep. And I told her, I said, like, look on the map, like this looks super rocky, like maybe that's where bighorn sheep are. And we went way out of our way, and like it was so much fun just doing that. Like middle of the day, like, hey, there's gonna be spots we could probably hunt. Yes, like we're still in the game looking for mule deer from the truck, but I was actually thinking of like more of the scenic route. And the highlight, like one of the highlights of our trip was actually that route. Like I've driven all over the country. Like we do a pretty good job of going a lot of cool places, not that far west, but like Smoky Mountains, or like we'll just do random, you know, let's go drive somewhere we've never been to before. And that was one of the coolest roads I've ever been on from that. I don't think I would have done that with you. I've been like, what's the quickest way to get there? Like we're going. Who cares about cool area? Like, is there mule deer there? Dead to me if there's not, kind of a thing. So I did do stuff like that, and that was one of the things that we talked about. I was like, hey, this is a vacation. If there's anything you want to do or we see anything cool, like this is not life or death, like, which was kind of nice. But I said, if we find deer, that's when there's going to be a switch. Like I'm going to have a switch go off. Like, let's kill this thing. And she was, yeah, she was good with that, but she did appreciate, me not dragging her through. Like if we did those death marches every day, I think she would have said, "You freaking can stay." Especially with death marches with no mule deer at the end of them. I think I had about one more of those, and my my strike count was going to be full. So, but yeah, you're right. Like when I seen those mule deer, I was like elated. Like holy cow, there actually are deer here. And then when they went up where I never tell myself, I was like, man, I wish all that was public because I could hunt my way in there and probably have like my odds would be higher. And I was battling that line. So when we got back to our spot, I kind of like was prepping her. This is like lunchtime, right? This is like noon. It gets dark at like 8 o'clock. So it's like 11:30 probably. I said, we are going to walk that ridge, side hill that ridge all the way across there, 3/4 of a mile approximately. And we are going to pretend like they could be bedded anywhere in there. So like we're going to still hunt our way through there. And I said, it might take us 6 hours to get to the end of there because we might be able to glass all that. And she's like, all right. Like she was like excited for that. Finally, we're going to do something other than just, look for birds. So the game, I think that was a really good game plan, except for the fact that once we got in there, I could not glass like at all. It was like you could only see you felt like you could see farther, but you really couldn't. So it was more of like that 50 yards to 100 yards of glassing, which I was anticipating like being able to see maybe 300 yards. And where there was a little bit of terrain, it was surrounded by trees and big rocks, so you couldn't really see, which is probably why they're in there, right? Like that was really good side cover. They probably felt safe in there, and we just slowly walked our way down that edge or that like third. Like we essentially the wind was in our face, so we stayed like I didn't want to skyline ourselves on the ridge. We just stayed low, and like every time I felt like I went like 50 yards, I'd slowly creep on top of the ridge, glass as far as I could see, and we kept working our way down. And about like man, shoot 200 yards from the truck, because I kind of drove my truck in a little different spot. We jumped a doe and a fawn, mule deer, and I had just stopped. It was the typical jumping a deer when you're with someone. We were sneaking through, and like this stuff was kind of loud. And I told Ashley, I was like, I think we're going to I like stopped. I said, I think we're going to go slower than I think. And they stood up because they heard us, and they kind of like ran away. And I was like, oh man, they're running right towards where I think the deer are. And I was like, son of a gun. I should have kept walking, and maybe they would have spooked, the other way.
So I just want to like interject here because I've heard it from 3 different people now. Greg Litzinger, when he was out, and I don't know if he shot one or didn't. John certainly did. And, Tom Taylor. Yeah. He's like with mule deer. He's like, they're stupid. Mm-hmm. And if you just keep walking and knock an arrow while you're walking, they usually just stop. And I think that's how John shot he shot a mule deer doe, is after that happened like multiple times. He was like, all right, as soon as they jump up, I'm just going to keep walking, knock an arrow. Yeah. And then I'm going to stop and turn and shoot. So had you ever heard that before or anything?
So everyone told me that they're definitely not as edgy as whitetails. So if you sneak up on them and you draw your bow and they spook, or if they spook before you draw your bow, the first thing you need to do is draw your bow. And then you almost, my buddy does it quite a bit. He's like 7 or 8 times out of 10, they'll give you if you stalk up close enough to them before you bump them. Like he was saying, if you get to within 20 or 30 yards and you bump them, you like 7 or 8 out of 10 times, you'll get a sub 60-yard shot, because they will do what you just said. They'll get up, bound, look back like, what the heck are you standing there? Then you can shoot. He's like, whitetails, when you bump them, they're gone. So when that happened, I was like, ugh. Like if I had a gun, oh yeah, I would have just dusted one of those. Like it was like, would have been the easiest like not running shot of my life with a gun on that, And so that happened, and I was like, ugh, like I should have kept. If I would have kept walking, so like just walk through that stuff, I would have like been, because they let me get really close. There's no way that they would have. They had to have heard me coming down there, and I was like, oh, I really hope they didn't like go towards those deer. and they were about 800 yards away from where I thought the deer were. And I was like, well, we're going to pretend like they didn't. We're going to pretend like they went over the hill or they did something. Let's just finish this out. And we ended up getting across that side of that ridge side way quicker than I anticipated. I think by the time I think we left the truck at like 11:30, and we were sitting on this pinch point, the 60-yard wide pinch by like 120. And it was like, and I was like going painstakingly slow. I felt like it was like, hey, go as far as we can, as soon as we can see. Like, I can't tell you how many times I thought a rock was a mule deer on the way there. Like, it was like, I was like, put my hand up and shoot stop. And I was like, I think there's one right there. And I would get like positioned to pull my bow back or something and like slowly look through the binos. Oh, that's a friggin' rock. Like, we were like high on edge, right? And get to the pinch at 120. And it's like, we have a 7-hour sit here, babe, like on these rocks. Like, it's going to suck, but we're in the shade. I was like, they're probably within 200 yards of us, like right now, because they were not on. We covered all the public there. If they were on that side of the ridge, it's like there's potential they're behind us, up over the ridge. But I said, I think they're right there in front of us. Like, you could see like where this, like, there's water in the bottom. There was some aspens. There was, the pine tree like stuff, and it looked really good. And we sat there and sat there and sat there, and then 3:30, Ashley. So she was sitting to my right. I was sitting to the left on the rocks with my bow right ready to my left because I wanted to be able to shoot that pinch. Like, essentially, I had it set up so I could just pull my bow back when they come walking down this pinch and have a 35-yard max shot kind of a thing. And you could see trails, so I was like, ooh, this could be really good. And so we're sitting there, 3:30, boom, she sees a mule deer doe, like 150 yards. And no, sorry, 250 yards away. She's like, oh my gosh, there's one right there. And it came out, and it was just a lone doe, and it ate a little bit, and then it disappeared. And I was like, they're bedding right there. Like, that's where they're bedding. And I told Ashley, I said, if that was public, we could sneak down there and go right by those rocks, and we'd have like a 30-yard shot. Because, like, I guarantee they're all right on the other side of those rocks in the shade. Like, we were sitting in the shade of trees, like they're doing the same thing we're doing, but just over there. So, like, when she saw that doe and we saw that, I was just like, I told her, I was like, it's gonna happen. Like, this might be our best shot of this whole trip, like right here. Well, 3:30 comes and goes, and then 5 o'clock, the 4 does come out, the 2 does and 2 fawns, and then I'm like, they're there, and he's with them, like they are right there, and I'm like trying not to get too excited, but I'm like, the anticipation's pretty crazy, and I'm just like, we're talking through game plans. I'm like, if they come down there's that giant rock, we're gonna have to like back out of here, slide down there, get by that rock, and then I can go. It was like an L of pinches. So like we were sitting at the 90 of the L with the 60-yard pinch right in front of us, and all the way down in front of me, there was like a 100-yard pinch, and then the giant rock and another 100-yard pinch. I was like, if we get to the middle of that rock, we can go either way. Wind's in our face, thermals are pulling down. Like, this is going to be our best bet. And I kind of gotten up and peed like in between there to like see if we could get down there, and it was like all rocks. So I was like, we can literally like hopscotch these rocks down, and it's gonna be like, I'm like, it's gonna be good. We're just gonna have to make a decision when it happens. Sure enough, at like 6:30, 6:45, the does are kind of milling out again, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the buck. And she's like, holy cow, he's bigger than I thought. Like, that's what she said. Because, mule deer are really framey, right? And she's been used to seeing whitetails. And I'm like, yes, he's there. And we only have 100 yards in front of us, approximately maybe 80, because the way the terrain was set up, the property line was like skirting at an angle. So, like, we were at like really close to we were about 40 yards from the line where we were. But as it angled out, we gained some, land, but it was wide open. So as soon as he stepped out, I was like, okay, we got to watch him, because if he comes up this way, we'll be good. But if he starts working down, like, we need to make a move. And sure enough, he like milled around a little bit, took a couple bites of some stuff, and then the cows started coming, and they kind of like looked at each other. And I was like, them freaking cows, like, they're gonna ruin this hunt. Like, I've been pissed at cows this whole time, and they they kind of stand off, and then like I like watched him like walk back, and I was like, I think he just bedded down again. Like that's what it looked like. Like all of a sudden I'm looking at the binos, see him, and then like see him in my eyes, and then all of a sudden he like is gone. I'm like, I think he laid right back down right there. I was like, we need to go right now. So when he bedded down, we went to the big rock. It took us probably 15 minutes to slowly ease our way down there. I can see the does while we're going down, and the does are going like to my left, like milling around, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect because the wind, like in the mountains, the wind can be really blowing hard all day, and then like that last hour, it does something completely different. So like this whole time I'm dropping milkweed, and I'm like, it's happening, like it's swirling where we are. We got to get lower. So that is where the rock was. It was lower. So we get down in there, and it's like perfect. Like Adam, like the thermal pull, I can feel hitting me like in my face. It's going behind us. They're 150 yards in front of us, 160 yards in front of us. The does are. They got no idea we're there. And I just like climbed on the side of this rock and started glassing, and boom, he stood up. And I was like, oh my, I was like, he stood up. Like I climbed down. I was like, here we go. Like this is going to happen. And the does started going left. So I eased on that side of the rock, and I'm like watching these does work into these like trees, and they're like 90, 80 yards out. And I'm like, where's the buck? Where's the buck? And I look to my right, and that joker's like walking in the wide open to the right side of the rock. And I was like, I'm like, and Ashley's eyes are like this big. Like she is just like, oh, he's right there. And it's like 100, 120-ish yards probably only. He's probably right on the line of the public private. I'm like, he's walking through the other gap. So like we do this like crazy, like we're like sign language to each other. I'm like, okay, when he gets behind that rock, like you need to go, and I'm gonna follow you. So essentially, we just kind of like worked our way around the rock, and like I watch him go across, and he's dropping into these aspens, which I'm like pumped because those aspens are only like from the last tree cover I got to the front of those aspens is like 45 yards. I'm like, oh, I am, and it goes 45 yards, and at 60 yards, it's like the super steep hill, and I'm like, dude, this is gonna work. Like, so I'm all ready, and I'm waiting. I'm like, he's not coming. Like, where is he? Where is he? And you kind of get that feel like if he was moving, you would see him, you know, at that point. And I'm like looking back at Ashley, and she's like binos up, like she's just frantically looking for him. And I'm like, do you see him? He's like, no. And I happen to catch his rack at like 120 yards. And I'm like, okay. And what he did is he went and got a drink out of that bottom. There's water there. And then he turned around and like started going back towards the doe. So then it was like this like mad scramble once again, like let's parallel him, and get to the other side of the rock, perfect. And when he crossed through that opening I had, it was like 115 to 125 yards. And I'm not going to shoot that far. And I'm pretty sure he was about 15 or 20 yards onto the private side. So that bugger freaking just skirted us. And I was like, no. But it was exciting. It was like, hey, we're in the game. But that was our best opportunity, was that. My wife like loved it. She's like, that was so intense. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, imagine if we were sneaking up on one that was bedded, you would be even more, you know, jacked up. So they worked off, didn't spook, you know, he was with the does. And I was like, that was the wrap for, you know, our third night. Like, wow, it almost happened. And to make the next day quick and kind of, you know, make this trip shorter, I kind of went quick after that.
I want to ask you because, like, especially for guys who've never like been out west or they've not done anything like that, like, you know, it was only like 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile now, because you've moved around a bunch, to get back to the truck, right?
Yes.
So what for you guys, like, what was that walk back in the dark like? Because like for John and I, it was 5 miles back to our camp from where we found these elk. And it's just like in the dark. And it's not like, I'm not talking about like, oh my gosh, it's so scary or whatever, but you're like, the amount of like thoughts that go through your head and like you know, you're on this high of this experience, and then you're going back and you're like, you know, did we mess it up? Did we do this? Like, that was awesome. There's a lot of like roller coaster of like emotions, like as when you realize that it's done for this day and you got to make a plan for tomorrow and all that stuff. So like, you know, you took a long time, you know, a couple hours anyway, to get over to where you were at. Like, what did the walk back, how long did that take? Like, what was that, like, your guys' conversation thought process, conversation on the way back.
Yeah, because I was very conscious of like wearing our bodies out, because I said when we hunt, the wind's this way. When we get done, we can walk this valley out, which will be because my fear was like, if I had any fears, it was a stumble in the rocks or a twisted ankle or like you're walking uneven terrain. Like that was kind of my thing, and I didn't want that to be an issue for either one of us, right? Gave me a hard time, like just because you can easily get through something, I can't get through it, and I got a semi heavy pack on, so I was definitely every night I was like, okay, if we can, not walk in, like if we have to walk the same route, we will. But if there's an easier route, let's do that. And the valley was like kind of like, hey, let's do that. And yeah, we walked back in like 25 minutes, right? But we were huffing and puffing because it was like crazy elevation change. We walked uphill the whole time, but it was very easy walk out. So yeah, you take hours to get in, and then it's like okay, even the 2.5 mile walk we had opening day. It took us a lot longer to get in, and then when it's like, all right, our hunt's done, let's go. It does go quick because you're just walking, right? It's cooler and all that stuff. But yeah, I was when I whitetail hunt, my first time in can be pitch black, right? Like I don't care. Like I'll use a red light or even a bright light if I need to, and it's only if it's through a thicket or something. When I was out there, I did not want my first time to be somewhere in the dark just because of that safety aspect. But yeah, critters of the night. I told Ashley, I don't know if this is true or not, because she's like, "Is there wolves out here? Is there grizzly bears? Is there bears?" I was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but I said, well, all these farmers got all these cows free roaming. I was like, if there was a crazy wolf or bear population, I don't think they'd want these cows out here getting killed. So that was kind of my big bad wolf, of the night kind of a thing. Don't know if it's true or not, but that was what I told her. So,
Well, I
but
was
yeah,
talking
the
about,
adrenaline dump was easy to walk.
yeah, that's kind of like what I was talking about was like the emotions, because the emotions
Hmm.
were, right up to that point were like running super high, and then, well, we're just going back now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, we hustled. Like we were really tired when we got to the truck, and I looked at the watch and I was like, we just did that in like 20 minutes. Like that's why we're tired. Like we were walking quick. And yeah, that's in the stars out, like we can talk about all that. Like dude, when you're out in that country, the stars, the coolness, the quietness, like when I think I was literally my jaw hurt because I think I was smiling like the whole time. So many times we were like we'd get to a point of glass and it was like never seen anything like this before. This is awesome. So if you're in, that was what most of that was. But I had another opportunity at the same deer, which is crazy. The next morning, same strategy as the morning before. We're gonna sleep in the same spot. First thing in the morning, I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna glass that valley and see if I can locate him again. Maybe lightning will strike for a third time, right? Like I've seen him morning, night. Maybe I'll see him a third time. So did that, glassed that valley, that same area for an hour. Did a podcast I recorded on that, kind of updating everyone a little bit, and then get to the truck and I was like, "Man, Ashley, I don't know if we." I was like, "I feel like we got to ride the hole," and she's like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "You don't know what that means? Like, it's like it means we stay here until we leave, or at least for another day." And the old duck hunting terminology, but she's like, okay, and I like happened to like look off to my right when we were about to make some breakfast, and or she had made her coffee or something. I can't remember what it was, but the tailgate was open, the truck, I had set the spotter down, and I looked off to my right and I was like, whoa, that looks awesome over there. Like I had gave that side of the valley an ounce of thought because I had seen the mule deer on the other side, and that was where all my focus was the day before. And I was like, I bet there's some over there. And I pulled the binos up, and in like 30 seconds, I found two whitetails. Two whitetail deer at like 75 to like, they were a little lower than me. So I'd say they're probably like 75 or 7,800 feet. And I was like, I looked at her and I was like, there's whitetails right there. And they were far. They were probably like a mile away. And I was like, well, if there's two whitetail does, there might be a buck. So let's go walk over there and I'll see if I can see a little farther. So make this like walk over there. And anytime I walk anywhere, it's happened enough to me. I'm always looking. Like I don't ever just like I'm gonna walk. Like every time I go over a rise, I'm like eyes open. And I should have brought my bow with me, but I didn't have my bow. And I look over the rise, and 150 yards, I like see a mule deer butt, and I was like, whoa, there's a I was like, there's a deer right here. And she's like, no way. I'm like, I'm not kidding. Like, there's one right there. And I like inch forward a little bit more and look, and sure enough, that freaking buck is, I don't know how, a mile plus, maybe farther on the whole other side with a different doe. And there he is at 150 yards. And I was like, he's right there. And I look at her and I'm like, I'm wearing Crocs. I got my camo on. I like not prepared for this. I was just gonna have a nice easy morning glass in. And I hustled the truck, grabbed my bow, and get back, and he's still right in this little pocket of trees, but the doe had moved down. And cows, once again, like I can just, if I have excuses, I'm just using the cows as excuses here. But we're like in this commotion of me going back and forth, like this group of cows is like, what's that dude doing over there? And this like herd of them come over by us, and they're not quiet. And they freaked the doe out. Like the doe was working down low and was gonna like go into the valley. I'd seen him the day before, and I have all these like hills in between us, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna go cut them things off. And she meets up with the cows, sees the cows, and is like, I don't like this, and like turns and does a 90 and goes away, and that buck follows her. And I think I ranged the buck. Because I was trying to get closer. I got to like, I think the rangefinder said like 115, and that was on public, and I like was like, I need to get to at least 70 to 80 yards was kind of like where I wanted to be. And I just got to watch them go up the hill, go into the private rocks. And at this point, I'm like, well, maybe they bedded over there. So we gave all day that next day, we committed to trying to find those deer. And I also, that afternoon, I should say. So as soon as we saw those deer go in the private, I'm like, okay, new game plan. We're gonna try them on that side. Let's go to town, try to get permission on that private piece, so in case I need, last hunt. Try that. We did that. Got a phone number, found the property. No one was home. Called, didn't hear nothing. So that was kind of a fail. And we got back in there and hunted for like the whole afternoon once again, hours, and never saw them. I think they stayed in private. So that was the end of my hunt because 2:30 a.m. that Friday morning, all day Thursday there was bad wildfire smoke, and my wife doesn't do great with campfire smoke and stuff. She's got allergies or something, and she was sick. So this was day 2 of being sick, and she wasn't breathing the greatest. And like we were sleeping out in it, and my truck started running kind of funny. So I was like, we need to get off this mountain because I don't know if my truck's going to make it. Like, let's just head off the mountain. We'll sleep in the other area. Maybe the smoke will be better. Other side of the mountain. Get there at like 11 o'clock that night. I parked the truck and I get out of the truck and I'm like, the smoke's worse here, but I guess we'll try it. And 2:30 a.m. she hadn't slept and she was coughing and like her throat was messed up. And I was like, you know what? I got a tire that's losing air. My truck's got a check engine light on it. I was like, maybe we just need to head home. Like I'm okay with that. Like I feel like we had a great hunt, and I left at 2:30 in the morning and only made it to Omaha, Nebraska, and my truck fully took a dump. And that is why I don't have my bow currently. Don't have any of my pack out boxes. Don't have any of my cameras because I ended up taking a rental car home, and my truck is still currently sitting in Omaha, broken. So good thing we left early because if that crap would have happened in the middle of the mountains, I probably would still be there. I don't know how I would have got my truck off of there, but yeah, so that's why I don't have anything. And that was the return trip home took a long time. And I got to drive a Toyota RAV4 maroon in color, and got 34 miles a gallon, but that was the only good thing about driving that thing. So here we are.
And so that's why you haven't seen any nice reels or anything.
Nothing.
He just left it. He said, you know what? Screw this. Screw all my stuff. It's staying in Omaha.
Yep, stay in Omaha. They told me my truck will be fixed today, and I didn't get a phone call. So who knows when I get that stuff back? I'll be flying out to Omaha here, hopefully this week.
So have you found like a silver lining? Is Nebraska a draw state, or can you make this like it's a write-off, like because it's a business expense to get your truck?
Yeah, that airplane ticket's going to be write-off for sure. I'm going to take advantage of that. I talked to a local really close to where the truck broke down, and he almost gave me permission on a lot of property. But he's like, yeah, but my nephew wants to gun hunt this year, so we kind of like not letting anyone. And I was like, ooh, that was close. And I'm like, what if I fly out on a Wednesday get my truck, Wednesday night or midday. I can kind of hunt my way home, through the state of. But the problem is, Omaha is at the line of Nebraska, Iowa, so I would have to go farther away from home to hunt, and I think I just need to get back. So
You could hunt Wisconsin.
or Illinois. There is some stuff in Illinois, but it's kind of my Chicago area, so
Wisconsin's
I
a
don't know.
cheap tag, though.
Wisconsin, yeah, but like they're not going to be in velvet anymore because
Oh
they lose
my!
velvet. So like I'm going to be picky on this one. No, I don't want to do anything because I think I'm going to go back with a gun. I think I've been thinking about that since I've been back. I think I'm probably going to push pretty hard to try to squeeze some time and try to go back and redeem myself with a gun and see if I can use some things I learned and maybe get on that buck again or get on a different one and do that.
So this is just so strange to me. Well, I just don't. I don't think about it in terms like that, and I don't know. I've never hunted mule deer. I mean, I could have shot a bunch of does like sitting on water in Colorado and in Idaho, I think. But we've seen a bunch of them, and that's one thing that came to mind was like, did you consider sitting water when it was so hot like that? But like even like at the first Patreon hunt when Joe came up there, he was looking for private that butted up to public so he could hunt right on the edge of it. And he passed deer, he killed deer, all of those things, and like to go to like the least populated state in the country, and then it has probably some of the most public land or BLM or national park land or whatever, and to then be essentially hamstrung by
Private land.
Like,
I know, I couldn't believe it.
It's such a weird thing to me because the first time that I went out, like when we went to Idaho, we were in the middle of nowhere. Like there wasn't private land it was the one piece that we were on. I think from the road we parked on to the next road was 9 miles, like to get to another road, to the north anyways. And when I came back home, that's when I started to look at like the bigger pieces of public just to get away from, because there was no property lines. You don't have to worry about it. And then you have to worry about people even less. Now, again, my trophy room looks much different than yours does. And it's, it's probably by that strategy, but it's just, when I got home from that hunt, like, when you look at when you're doing those lines to see how long it is from here to here, your phone doesn't change, the scale just changes. Because I remember like very vividly looking at it and going, son of a bitch, that's a long ways. And then I did the line and it was like 400 yards, and I was like, oh, just because I was so used to looking at really, really big country on the map,
Yes.
So it was just really interesting to me that you ended up being like
hamstrung by it.
Well, but by design, or like that's where you saw.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, that's so the spot where I found the mule deer. I how do I explain this? The private land that was there was giant, but it like had this. It was like two pieces of big public pieces. So BLM or National Forest, I can't remember what color, but it was literally the one side of the valley was all public, and then this little kick out was public. And then if I could have crossed the private, which I only had to go like 400 yards, I would have been into like thousands of acres of public. And I could not figure out a good way to get in there. Like I was scouring the maps, and like other than doing like you just said, like a 5 or 6 mile up and down walk in there, there wasn't a good way to get into that. And I had the opportunity to like see what it looked like from my side, and it was like rocks. And there's some rocks that you just can't cross. Like if it was just a hill, I would be like, yeah, we can walk over that. But like some of those rocks, I can't even. I don't even know. They're so steep. I don't know if anything climbs up other than a billy goat's kind of a thing. So that was that stuff intimidated me. Like, hey, like, do I want to waste a whole day to get in there and not be able to see it? And like that would have to be like I had to be okay with that. And I don't think I was mentally like, why would I do that when I know I can like access all this stuff from the truck and just bounce around a little easier. However, I've looked at the maps a little bit since this hunt and seen where I got into this deer and what I seen, and there is some stuff that is a little bit farther off the beaten path that I'm very intrigued with. Like, hey, if I do this, 3 to 4 mile walk, I could probably find something that might check some of those boxes that maybe would put me with where more deer are or where I could have better opportunities. But it's really hard to do that on a first time out there with my wife and do that kind of a thing. So, but yes, you're right. It was very cliche kind of like I kept laughing with Ashley. I was like, I never would have thought that on this trip I would have been hamstrung by a private land. Like that was not anywhere close to my like game plan. So it was funny, yes.
So what were your like some of your takeaways from this hunt that are going to help you or that have made you a better hunter?
I would say for me, I feel like a better hunter. I guess I've never had to like go 2.5 miles from my truck to hunt whitetails anywhere. So doing that once, I was like, that's no big deal. Like that didn't bother me at all. Knowing that I can, walk up some steep country and handle that just fine. That seemed to be good. But I'm definitely better at. It was crazy to me glassing how much I liked that. Like that was very. This hunt was very relaxing for me. So I don't know if this is making me a better hunter, but it's just stuff I noticed. Like I liked having my phone on airplane mode for days. Like that was great. I liked sitting up somewhere and just covering terrain with the spotting scope or with the binos and like holy cow, how far away is that? It's like that's like 3 miles and I just saw a bird fly. Like, that's kind of cool doing stuff like that or spotting antelope way out there or doing that stuff. So I think as a hunter it kind of completely stepped out of my comfort zone. Like this hunt is not something that I would ever tell anyone that I was like, yeah, Nate's a good Western hunter. Like that's not me. Like that's not. I've never put any sort of effort into being good at it. I've never listened to podcasts about being good at it. I haven't absorbed any sort of content to try to be good at this. But I also feel like I could do it again. I feel like if I do this more often, I feel like the learning curve is steep, but once you start rolling, like if you get like that, it's like, oh, like, okay, the animals act this way in the mountains. Okay, I gotta like, I feel like you can kind of get a Rolodex of ideas and like spots in an area a little bit quicker. And then it's just a matter of are they there or are they not? That I think is my next step. Like that would be my next thing to do. And then it's going to be like, just because I saw a mule deer with my bow and binos, I'm trying to kill a bow. That doesn't mean it's necessarily a good opportunity to go kill it. Like that's my next step. Like I got to be able to locate deer, give myself more than one opportunity in a week to try to, target this deer. Or if I'm doing this with a bow, right? And after being in that country, I can see why guys use a gun. Like it definitely helps level the playing field a little bit. But there's something about hunting September 1st with a bow and somewhere like that I really enjoyed. But I don't think I'm going to be a better whitetail hunter now because of this trip. I don't think I had this great epiphany while I was out there, anything like that. I just know that it was good for my soul, and I really enjoyed the trip with my wife. And I would love to try to implement some sort of Western like hunt or that kind of thing every year moving forward for sure.
Now, when you were talking about glassing, it's something I wanted to bring up, but I didn't want to interrupt you like earlier when you were talking about spending so much time behind the glass. My brother does that out in South Dakota, and he was talking about like eye fatigue depending on like what your equipment was. So what binoculars were you and your wife using in the spotter, and would you change that for the next time?
Yeah, I was using my 12 by 50 binos. I think those are a great bino for what I was doing. I use them for whitetail hunting too. Like I just got a good deal on them, and I was like, I want a pair
But
of binos that
who makes them? Like, are they
they're the
high end or whatever?
Vortex Diamondbacks, or
Okay.
what's is a Diamondback their middle of the road one, not their cheapest one, but they're like
I think the Crossfire is like the bottom, and
yeah.
then
So
I
these are
think the
Diamondbacks. I'm
Diamondbacks.
pretty sure they're the next. They're not the Vipers or Razors or anything like that. They are pretty good bino, except for I got a big head, so I got to always open them up to fit my eyes. Well, the one side, if I hold it one handed, it always like closes. So that was a pain, but I had it paired with a tripod. So I just have my like bog death grip. I put like an after, I did the whole Amazon YouTube thing, found someone that put a fluid head on it and quick attach. That was really nice. The tripod is kind of heavy. So if I do it again, I'd like to maybe get a little lighter one. I would do the binos on that. And the binos, there was not much eye fatigue other than me just having to hold that one side open the whole time. That was kind of nice because you could sit somewhere and you just have them up and you just slowly adjust the fluid head so you can kind of scan back and forth. If I had like really far distances that were more open, I just did the spotter the whole time. And that was, I could position that spotter in a way where it didn't really bother me too much. Just from like slowly going through. But if I had to pick one or the other, feel like, hey, you got to spend 8 hours behind glass, I would pick the binos for eye fatigue reasons. And my wife, we had another buy or tripod for her, and I had the same thing. I was like, hey, you're more than welcome to use it. She didn't like using the tripod. She's like, posture wise, she didn't really like how it felt, so she would just, I don't she did it for a long time. Like she'd just be either hands on her legs or she's sitting crisscross applesauce, just like scanning. And she was like, "Yeah, this doesn't really bother me." And if I were to do that, I would be like, "Shoot me now!" Like that's, I don't know how you're comfortable in that position, but you are. So, but yeah, 12 by 50 binos, Vortex, and the spotter was my buddy's spotter. I don't know the numbers on it because he's got like a cool Vortex protective thing on it, which I would definitely do because of the rocks and the putting it out of your backpack. Yeah, that's what I use for my glass.
Had you used a spotter much prior to that?
No, never. Other than when we sight in guns, my dad's got like a cheapo Vortex that we use to, when we're shooting the guns in. Instead of walking back and forth, I just run the spotter for buddies or whatever. Other than that, that's my first spotter experience.
Yeah, I had a cheaper. It was like a couple $100. I think it was like $400 Vanguard one, and like I hated it. And
Yeah.
I've got the Vanguard Endeavor like HD binos that John and I both have are freaking amazing. And like I feel like I can see just as well, and it's much easier to like locate stuff
Hmm.
from the spotter. And it didn't really matter like the distance. Like when I was in Colorado using it, and there was elk like right across the valley that was like a mile.
Yeah.
I guess I could, if I was looking at, because it's not, obviously it's not my style. I'm not trying to look and see, is this thing, oh, he's got weak twos or his eye
Yes.
guard, like none of that
Yes.
shit, like shooter or not shooter, is that an elk or not? And I could
Yes.
see much clearer and like better, I felt like, with the binoculars. And so I sold it. Like I don't think I'll ever be in a situation where like the spotter is going to be like my go-to. I
No,
don't
I
know.
agree. Yeah, I spotted elk with my two 12 by 50s at two. I just did the Onyx thing, the two fingers, 2.5 miles away. Like I like saw there was elk. Was like now I couldn't tell how big they were until I threw the spot. Like you just said, like the spotter, put that on, zoom in. It's like, oh, that's a big bull. Like I literally could like watch him bugle, which was really cool with that. But it's a nice like I wish I knew the model. I would look at it, but it's in my truck in Omaha right now. But my buddy
Or it
bought it.
was.
It was. It's in. Yeah, who knows? Good thing I got work insurance. There was so many Milwaukee tools in my truck when I got stolen. Uh, he bought it when he went elk hunting in New Mexico, and I feel like when he got it, or maybe he got it when he went to Kansas, something like that. He bought it at Cabela's or something, and he's like he spent some good money on it. Like it's a nicer one, and it is really like when you put that on your eye and you get it all focused right, it's like whoa, I can see Like I remember there was these valleys, and I was like, "Hey, Ashley, see that way over there? There's a cow over there right now." And she's like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, sure enough, look, there's a cow." So you could definitely cover some ground. But if I was spotting stuff, 800 yards and in, I'd never pulled the spotter out. Like that was just binos.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like a pretty cool hunt. Like it's in, I guess the silver lining is that everything happened like on the way out rather than the way to go hunting, on the way back.
Yeah.
Cause that would have really, really sucked.
Oh, I've been so sad, so sad. And if this means anything to you, when I'm in other places, whitetail hunting or whatever, if I see locals, I talk to them. Like I'm a talker, and it helps that my family is raised cows and farmers. So like anytime I see a farmer, I'm very comfortable starting some stupid conversation with them, And I talked to some locals that were there, and they're like, are you like, what are you looking, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to shoot mule deer with a bow. And they like laughed at me. They're like, people don't come here and shoot mule deer with a bow. Like they do it only with a gun. Like only people here with a bow are either, antelope hunting or they're elk hunting. Like it's tough. Like there's not a lot of mule deer. And that's the first time I've ever been anywhere on an out of state hunt when I talked to someone and had someone have that reaction. And these are two old boys, they could have been giving me a bunch of crap and just didn't want me to be there. I don't know. But that was kind of interesting to me. I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of like a lower, tougher hunt maybe than what I've been on before. So just see, I guess at that point, when they told me that, I told Ash, I was like, I'm just grateful we actually found something. Like that's, to me, that was like the silver lining that I had at the end of it, and feel very fulfilled. But I want to go back, man. Like that's one of those hunts. It's like I just want to go back, and I really not necessarily because I have a bloodlust or I need to fill a tag. I just want to go spend some more time out there and try to learn some more. And it's this big thing that I'm not good at that I want to try to get better at.
Yeah. So if that's your jam, like stay away from elk hunting because you'll.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So can we roll this to you now? We're gonna make this a long podcast,
sure.
right?
Send it.
All right. So right now it is September. I'm looking at my watch. September 8th. You are knocking on the door of opening season for a bear hunt, but you're not even able to. You're like, so I feel like the reason I want to talk to you about this is like me going into my mule deer hunt so unprepared. Like we kind of talked about that the week before. Like I helped you out with a thing, and me, you, and John are all together, and I was like, dude, I'm not prepared for this mule deer hunt. I'm not prepared for whitetail season. I'm not prepared for goose season. Like I am so like the youth hunt's coming up, and I am like don't even have anything figured out for Henry. Like this summer was just brutal for me. And I'm like, well, you have like this bear hunt coming up. Where are you at? And you're like the same thing. And like, is this normal for you to like I guess this is a little different because this isn't just like a whitetail tag. This is a tag that takes years to get. And like, how are you feeling now? Like a week and a half, 2 weeks later, are you more prepared, less prepared? Like, where are you at with that?
I hate it.
I bet I know why you hate it.
Because
I think you hate the idea that you have this bear tag and you can only hunt this bear on your bait, on your land, and you're like completely hamstrung by it.
Oh, I can hunt it on public land, but like the thing
But how
is
you
like
gonna bait public land, though?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could certainly do that, but it's just so freaking far away.
Yes,
and like I really want to kill a bear like on our property because no one's done it. Like I don't want to say like quote unquote like legally. I mean, they killed a nuisance bear and then had to have the DNR come out, and this is a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago. But so no one's ever like actively tried to kill bears on our property.
Yeah.
And like I mean literally like wow. So today at 6:30 I have a bear in the daylight on one of the baits that's frickin' empty. Or just this bear's been just like camping out there, so I think he's eaten everything that's there.
Yep.
I'm heading up like a week from tomorrow to hunt, and like my dad's got another bait that's still full, and like there's bears milling around it, but they're not eating. I don't know what's going on there. But that's like, I got a bear in daylight, like right now, super cool. But like, I can't go find a bear. Like I could go to Wyoming and search out a mule deer or a bear or like a freaking whatever. By doing X, Y, and Z. And this is just all based on like bullshit of like, do I have a big enough smorgasbord to keep a bear in the area?
Dude, I hate that kind of hunting. So that was what my bear hunt was like in Wyoming, like the outfitted one. Like you can bait them out there because it's mountains. It's so thick, I can see why. But like, dude, I did not. It's not for me, man. Like I got super lucky and shot an awesome bear, right? Like I should like the outfit was great, the horseback ride was awesome, but like, all right, cool. I get to sit here and stare at this bait pile. Like I'm happy I did it day one and not had to do that for 5 or 6 days. Like that would have sucked. But that's definitely it's against your nature to be like, oh, here I am sitting at
like
this,
all this like
this barrel
stuff, and then like the time frame also, like, just, I don't want to say like it sucks, but like right now, like this week leading up to my bear hunt, like we always the same weekend for the last 40 years have a family reunion. That's a big deal, like really big deal for our family. We all go camping, and we're talking like hundreds of people, and like family that I only see like once a year or whatever. And so I had to like tailor my schedule so that I could do this. That it was, Labor Day weekend. So I had to tailor my schedule so that I had to do had Labor Day weekend and off. So like, I haven't been able to go up and bait. Like my father-in-law and my dad went up, and then my dad went up last weekend and baited. And like my uncle was up there and he baited. And like, so now we've got like this week, like nobody went up this weekend and baited. And so, but I feel like it's almost good because now is the first time that we're getting like bears on camera, like consistently in the daylight. So I feel like they're like milling around, like when are they coming back with the food? And I just don't know if that's going to be like another week is going to keep them, but they're going to start running dogs.
Yes,
like right at the same time that we do, like and if all the bears are on our property, like right now, some of them are going to get killed, I'm sure, by the neighbor, by other bear hunters in the area. But I think I guess I'm hoping, like I'm hopeful that once we fire those baits back up, like those bears are going to come back, and, then they're going to want, like, cause that's one of the things that I've read, and, maybe I'm just like optimistic or, just like super naive, like, but by shutting one of the baits off, people say as soon as it comes back, as soon as you rebait it, then they understand like the scarcity. So they'll just start to guard it as theirs.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
So you're not hunting opening day, correct? But your dad is?
No, my dad. So the same,
he's got the same reunion. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
I think our season starts like Monday.
Okay.
And so he may be hunting opening day because Sunday, I don't know if he's going up like Sunday morning or what's going on. So I don't know when exactly he's leaving, but I'm leaving Tuesday night. I have to work Tuesday. So
so you're okay. So you're only gonna be up there 2 days late. You're not like a whole week. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I feel like from what I know, like I don't have much bear experience, but I got some buddies that I got some buddies that are hunting UP also. They got tags. They shot bears before. And then my buddy Tony, runs bears with his buddies and stuff. He's got some bear dogs. It seems like this time of year things change drastically.
Well, yeah. So
in the bear woods.
Yeah. So one of the dudes that was on the podcast before, Skeeter Beckman, he drew a tag. Him and his buddy, I think, drew tags for Baldwin. And so that's who I was mixing up the bait with. And we just kind of like co-opted all the stuff that we had gathered. And same thing, like we had bears nocturnal. And then there was no bears for a while. And then like right now, like today, last night and today, they're showing up like in the daylight, like boom, 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 boom.
Mm.
So, and he even said it, like he sent me a text. He's like, something is changing right now.
Yeah.
So, that's good. I know, like on our property, when my father-in-law was up there, he's like, there's acorns everywhere. And so one of my buddies is like, if these acorns are falling and they just had a bunch of big rain up there, like the bears are just, getting a better source of protein, just scooping it up and they'll be back. So we'll see.
And I
Like,
feel
I know,
like from what I know about your property and when I've talked to guys, like you have swamp and you have high ground that's got acorns. Like that's what guys say. Like if you can have that mix plus a bait, that's good. You don't want to have your bait nowhere near acorns. Like I guess that's what I've heard. Like you want to be on oak flat or something. And you're right. Like I don't know if you've been in the whitetail woods around where you live, but like the little bit I have been, wow, there's a lot of acorns on the ground already. Like holy moly, it was. I don't know if it was a good acorn year or just the drought kind of we had. They're all dropping early, but it's like blankets of acorns already on the ground.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, but like, I don't like being like helpless, like, cause it's like,
Yeah.
it's like and then the only like silver lining is that the season is very long. So it goes to like October 20th or something like that. And dude, I'll tell you, I know just a tiny little bit more about bear hunting than I did at the time. But I remember like one day being in the UP, like opening night of bow season in a tree down like near our neighbor's property, and they shot a bear, and I didn't know that there was any open season, and somebody shot like a 30-06 like 100 yards from me. You even talk about scare the shit out of you. Like, because I didn't know that there was anything in season or whatever. I didn't know what was going on.
You can shoot a bear with a gun
Yeah.
opening day? Oh, why did
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think you had to do with a bow?
No.
Interesting. Oh.
No. So it goes all the way up until like October 20th. And so I
That's
know that
hilarious.
there's bears still around. Oh, dude, Jesus, I was fucking terrified.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
And my dad's been up there, middle of October and had bears like walk under his tree stand and stuff like that. So there'll still be bears around. And especially if you can, keep those established baits going, even through, because people are going to be going up to our camp more and more, like as the season goes on. Just right now with everything that was going on, our family from Wisconsin isn't going up there. We haven't been going up there. So it's just like, you have to make these trips. And this is something, some of these cousins from this family reunion have killed bears, like lots of them with outfitters, but I think they've done it themselves or tried themselves. And you're like, by the time you factor in the cost of bait, the fuel, the time, the drive, you're just better off to go with the outfitter. But at the same time, then you're even like, as much as
5 days or whatever.
As much as I feel like not in control right now, then I'm just I'm just removing even that much more control, because then I don't control the baits. I don't control
Have you
the
ever
time
outfitted
frame.
hunt before or guided or anything?
Just the spike camp in Colorado.
That's I don't know if guys talk about it very much, but I've done that with my dad. Like I did the fully guided bear hunt. That was my first like legit that was like a full outfitted thing. Otherwise everything else I did was semi guided, and it was a really good way to get me and my dad out of the state of Michigan, right? Like it was like, hey, we're gonna invest this time, effort, money. Maybe our odds will be in our favor a little bit. So I don't regret doing those. A couple times we did them, but like now doesn't have the same feel of like if I'm going on a state, I want to do it. And like for someone like you, we did it because we were like, let's shoot bigger bucks, right? Like we're going to Missouri because we're going to try to shoot something bigger than we have in Michigan. And that was back, 15, 14 years ago. Times are a lot different than now. Someone like you is like, I'm totally in it for the experience. Like I think we're both in it for the experience, but like you're, you'll shoot something for the party, right? Like, hey, I got an opportunity, I'm taking it so we can all have a good time after. And like, so when you're talking about this bear hunt in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, when Adam can like, let's say 2 weeks in the season, your baits are dried up. The last week of September, would you potentially look into doing a bear, hunt with dogs or with an outfitter, or is that not even like on your radar?
Well, I would have to preface it by saying like I really want to kill one like on our property. Like
Yep.
that's kind of like the whole draw. Like I could have I could have certainly tried to draw a tag closer to my home. Uh,
Yes, you had
you
enough
know,
points. Yes.
so uh, if that was the case, like just to kill a bear or like whatever. Um, but I think like if it were the case, like I would start to reach out to people that I knew up there and say, hey, do you guys,
Yeah.
got any bear baits? Like, have you guys already killed a bear? Do you know what's going on? Do you know where there's some bears? Do you have deer? Like my one buddy who's up there, he's just running cameras for whitetails and he's got bears on his cameras. And
Hmm.
so it's like I would more go that route if I was going to go up there and like spend the time than just say like, okay, I just want to do this to kill something. Like that's not it at
Yeah.
all. But
Yeah,
what's
that's
it
a
was
weird thing to say though, because like we want to kill something, but we don't just do it just to kill something,
well, and what's funny
right?
is like I've been joking like about I literally so like bears have to be 42 inches. So if you
42
look
inches tall or 42 inches long?
long, long.
Oh, that's tiny,
Well, so
right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So when you said, "Oh, I don't want to just shoot a dog," da 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, so my dad put up on all these baits like these sticks that are like 42 inches long because that's what they said. Like there's one that's vertical, and then one that's horizontal.
Okay.
And I'm like, as long as it's legal, I don't care. I just want to shoot one, right?
Mm.
He he got a bear. He sent me a picture of a bear, and he's like, "Oh, this is kind of a small bear." And I was like, "I'll shoot that bear all day long, every day." Then I got the bear that I just showed you on my camera. It's a decent sized bear. And then he sends me a picture of a bear in the daylight that is as long as those sticks, but it's about as tall as a basketball. And
Oh,
like,
geez.
and I was like, ooh, I don't know. Like, and
That's
so the
small.
same thing has happened
Yes.
to me before where it's like, when I was going through like a drought with my bow, I was like, I'm going to shoot the first deer that walks out. Like, I swear to God.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, like this hunter came by, he was bird hunting and, his beagles came in front of me and I whistled at him and he turned around and left. Well, then half hour later, something's coming through the ferns and it's not as tall as the fern. So I thought the guy was back with his dogs and it was the spotted fawn. And I was like, oh, like God is just testing me. Right. I'm like, really, really, this is what you're
Yeah.
going to
This is what
do.
you're
And
gonna
so
get.
that's what I feel like about that bear. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
it's legal. And I've been saying like, as long as it's legal, but man, I don't know. I don't think I could
It's
do
kind
that.
of like, I don't know. Like, and nothing against guys who shot bears with their bow and did that. Like, if it's legal, go for it. But for me, it's like I'm gonna do this one time, like kind of a thing. So like, if I shoot one bear, like I'm not gonna go out here and be like, oh, I'm gonna shoot bear every year. So I was like, I kind of want it to be cool, right? Like I got a cool mount or whatever. But yeah, if it's as big as a German Shepherd, it's like, I guess you can still do a rug, right? Like you could
Well,
do
and that
something
and
cool
that's
like
all that I
that.
want to
So
do is like I don't even want like a rug because like my grandpa had a rug and like maybe all rugs aren't like created equal, but he had one
mhm.
like for a zebra and for this bear that he shot in Canada, and so it's got like the felt on the bottom and
Mm,
it's all gussied up and stuff like that, and it's just like too kind of like too showy.
yeah,
Like I think I would just like want to tan the hide, but I think if you and just keep the skull, you know.
correct. Yes.
Um, But like if you tan the hide of that, it's like I mean, I was just going through some old trail camera footage and I pulled this camera. It's what I posted today. I made a mock scrape 2 years ago and it's open right now. I haven't done anything to it and they're still using it and there was
Mhm.
nothing there to begin with. There's acorns and there's poop all over there, but there's a bear bait like it used to be like 200 yards away and now it's like 60 yards away from where this camera was.
Mm.
And I was going back through to see if there was anything new, and there's like some giant raccoons on there, and I just picture like that bear, that little
Is
bear.
that big?
It's just like, doesn't cover like your freezer, and
Uh,
and I don't think it's any less to have it tanned if it's smaller. I think it's probably about the same. So
yeah, you don't gain nothing.
yeah.
So method of take is another thing I wanted to ask you about. I think I did catch your podcast. You talked with, I don't know if it was with John. Yeah, you did one with John.
Yeah.
Talking about, shooting one with a recurve or with a compound. I was thinking those are your only options, but don't you have like another thing this year of wanting to kill something with a gun? Could you maybe, kill the bear and then do this single shot gun or lever action gun you want to kill something with?
So that's what, so I haven't killed anything with shotgun. So I have this like single barrel shotgun that I want to kill a deer with because I just haven't done it. And then I just got this new lever action 357, which was, I'm going to probably shoot something with that just because it's going to be cool. But I
Probably
told
not the best bear round 357, or is it a good bear
that's
round?
what I had on my hip when I was turkey hunting, and the one wanted to eat my decoys. So
Yeah, okay, okay.
but that's what I told Joe, because Joe's going to come up there and film.
Yep.
And so I was like, well, if it rains or like whatever, like some of these have like shacks nearby these baits, or like I'll have a pop-up blind or whatever. But I'm like, I'll bring up that 357 lever gun and kill something with it. Like if I got to hunt out of a shack or something. So that's fine. But I mean, I'm like indifferent. But I do like concede to you saying, how many opportunities are you going to get? Do you really want to try and shoot one with the trad bow? I mean, I know that your experiences are different. You just shoot them in the back of the head, but
is that worse or better than the nose?
I had already killed 2 by that point, so it was.
All right.
I was trying to take the Nate shot, and that back of the head shot stuff.
His rack was so big, that's why you shot him in the nose.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I mean, that's like not necessarily out of the question. I actually think I'm going to shoot that bear bow, the one that you shot.
Yeah.
Because I haven't killed anything with that. So.
Oh, you want to use? Why? Is there something wrong with your ion?
No.
No. Just want to try that bow?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. I thought you loved your ion.
I do. It's the Zion, by the way.
Sorry, Zion. My bad.
But like, it's not necessarily that I love it. It's just like one of these things that it's very utilitarian. Like it's just a really good like platform. And it's not like I'm out there like beating my chest like, you got to get this bow, like, oh my god, it's so great. Like no, but it's a 3-pound carbon bow, and like we said, if you're walking 5 miles or like whatever, and it's like I've used the shit out of it, so if it breaks, which it's it's close, I think.
You've used that life, that's for sure.
But I've had the one bear bow, the Alaskan, for like 3 or 4 years now, and like me nor John have killed anything with it. I think he missed a turkey with it. I know he turkey hunted with it.
Like I remember when I shot it, I was like, this isn't it's definitely a little different, right? But like it's still a great shooting bow.
Yeah, it's got a spongy back wall, and it's only 60 pounds, but it shoots. It feels really nice. Like, I don't know. I just thought I'd give it a shot.
Are you having John? I know John's a tech guy. Me and him deep dive in conversations like this all the time. But what kind of arrows are you thinking? Are you just using your whitetail setup with a mechanical? Or are you single bevel? What are you thinking?
No, it's funny. The Patreon group is like, for whatever reason, everybody's kind of landed on gone back to, and I've already got some of like the Magnus Stingers. Like I think that's what Tim is going to use on his moose hunt. That's what Tom killed that bull with the other day.
Congrats, Tom, by the way. The bull's awesome.
And I was like going back and forth on like, I had 0 blood with that single bevel. Like the deer died, and 100 yards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched where it went down, so I kind of had an idea of where to look. And so with the, they talk about bear hair, fat, all that stuff. Like I want to make sure that I get a decent sized hole that's going to bleed. Um, you know,
So why do you like or why does everyone like the Magnus Stinger better than some other ones? Just because the way the bleeder is?
well, it's kind of
Or
like
I'm
the
looking at a picture of it right now because that's something that my dad used with his recurve back in the day, was like that design.
yeah, and so it's like a proven like tried and true design. It's long. I think it's like that 3-to-1 angle.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're easy to sharpen as far as like the steel. You can get them pretty sharp, and then with Magnus, it's like that lifetime warranty or whatever. So if you screw it up or whatever, you just get another one. You just send them a
Okay.
picture, they'll send you one. So
And shooting it out of a 60-pound bow, they're pretty forgiving. Like you don't have
yeah,
any
I mean,
aeroflight really issues with that because you're not shooting super far.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna set up for like a 20-yard shot, so I'm
Okay.
not. I don't plan on, and that's the thing about like, at least in this instance, like for bear hunting, like I don't have to worry about where they're gonna be. Like I'm assuming that they're gonna be at the bait or within like this bubble around the bait,
Yeah. So from I've only shot one bear. Right? Like I'm no expert, but I watched a lot of videos leading up to my bear hunt. Are you doing that for this, or are you just like Because like if I were to bear hunt with my bow, I would use a big mechanical, opposed to like I like using small mechanicals or like a Day 6 Evo or something, kind of short and stocky when I whitetail hunt. But if I were to shoot a black bear, I would get like the biggest cutting broadhead and take a quartering away shot if I can. I
Well,
just feel like those just destroy bears.
I'm like fairly indifferent from
Okay.
that perspective. Like, because like I went into this like before, like really thinking about it, like with you and John, like I was going to use a trad bow, and so I'm definitely not going to use a mechanical there. And
Yeah.
then I was looking at like Jake Downs, right? I mean, I think last year he killed like 6 bears
Oh, he
or something
hammers
like that.
bears.
And
Yes,
he's
he
just
shoots
shooting
so
those
many.
day 6 Evos,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I guess that's where I lean, not to the one guy that killed one on YouTube with a
Yes.
big one, like a guy that's killed multiple things, and they're doing it with trad bows. And look at this, I guess those Evos are a little bit wider than like a Magnus Stinger, but it
Still
isn't.
the same concept though.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just still the exact same, the angle like you're saying. I've talked to Brian about those. Um no, I think another thing to think about too, like like where you shoot this bear, the area too, right? You're not like tracking a bear in unfamiliar territory. So I wonder if some of that is outfitter driven or something like, hey, use a big mechanical because we don't know how good of a shot you are. We want to get a big blood trail, try to recover this bear. I'm sure there's a lot of that goes into it too.
But I also feel
Maybe.
like, you know, and I don't know, people will probably say, look, you don't know what you're talking about, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Maybe I don't. But I just feel like with bears, with all that hair and the fat, there's so many things that can gum up a
Mm-hmm.
mechanical. And that's always like the bitch about mechanicals is like, oh, they don't open, or what if this, or what if
Yeah.
malfunction, and like, you know, we're not shooting elephants, we're shooting at whitetails,
Mm-hmm.
all of that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. So if I can remove any of that from the equation, like
Yeah.
that there's no, I mean, if that Magnus fails, then it's something else. It happened.
Correct. That's a
Like,
great point. And
that,
skinning my bear, I shot with a gun, obviously, and all I did was it was a perfect broadside shot. So essentially put it, lungs on a whitetail is where I shot it, and just that bear was torched. And I shot with a 270, so not like a 300 Win Mag or anything crazy. But skinning that thing, and it was a sow, and she was like 300-ish pounds probably in the spring, so she would have been pretty big in the fall. The fat and all that stuff is kind of like in their shoulders, like like their shoulders are kind of when they're standing there or sitting there or whatever, definitely different than a whitetail or anything else. Like they have a lot of stuff and meat and sinew, but rib cage, you can do that too. But then, you're talking like if you're doing a quartering shot or something, you want to have max, slicing and penetration. That broadhead does make sense because, like I said, I was looking at the pictures to kind of refamiliarize myself with it. We got a bleeder on there. You can get it in, slice through there, jam it up in there if you need to, and it should. You're not going to be like, oh man, I shot this mechanical and I have a pencil hole. I had that happen on a mechanical last year, just trying new ones out, and it did not. It's the same mechanical John talked about. Actually, I was like shaking my head in agreement. I was like, I had the same problem with that broadhead, and I was like, I will never use that again. But yeah, I think, like you said, 20-yard shot, just be proficient. You've shot a lot of stuff, so just take it easy and zip it through the ribs, and you'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get one in front of me first. So
Yes. That's the fun. That's the excitement.
There is
getting
no
one in front
fun
of
in
you.
that. There is no
I agree.
fun in hoping.
Driving up to the UP and putting bait out there and being like, this is where it's going to happen. It's like, cool.
The funniest thing though is like if you go back, 20 years or it's longer than that now. Shoot, it's 30 years. That's the way that we hunted, like deer. Throw some carrots out, throw some corn out, hang a cabbage from a tree and hope that the deer come in and eat it.
Yep.
And
put some apples out there to spice it up every once in a while.
Yeah. And so it's just so funny to me to think like that portion of it is like what I am hating. Because like I know that so same exact principle. I know there's bears there. I know there's other hunters there that are baiting, but with whitetails when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, all of those same things applied, and then we just throw out some carrots and shoot a doe. But I think the density is different. I mean, granted, there's a bunch of bears out there, but for the 5 different bears or so that we've got on camera, you probably have on that same piece of property, there's probably a density of 100 deer that live in that same range. And that's probably conservative.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a different mental battle for you. Like you're going to, like you have cell cameras. Are they even working up there? Like, are you just going to like, hey, he hit it. We're sitting here. He hits the other one. Or are you going to be like, I'm going to go hunt that one? Or are you just going to kind of like bounce around between all the baits?
That's the thing is like I was talking to my dad is I think we had too many baits up there. And so now we're just going to, where we're getting these bears consistently, we're just going to remove the other baits. And then that should also kind of consolidate the animals, in theory.
Yeah. That's what I would do. Because when we go hog hunting down in Oklahoma, that is bait state. And it's a cattle ranch, so he's got the spin feeders all over. And it's like we're constantly like chasing, oh, they were here. So you go sit on that spinner and you go, hunt. It's fun hunt. I mean, it's pigs, so like who cares? Like you just sit there and have a good time. And it's like, I can only look at that feeder for so long. And I've had some great hunts on feeders. I mean, I shot a pig last year on a feeder. Year before I shot one and had 20 of them come in and just unloaded my mag. I'm like, that was fun, pig hunt. But I did not like the thought of sitting in a blind or sitting somewhere with a corn pile out in front of me and just being like, like this is where I'm committed to. So it's gonna be a mental challenge for you, but a different way, I think, than like what I dealt with out west or what you do on an elk hunt or anything like that. So, but hey, you could have a bear come out first day, get all jacked up, and shoot the thing, and be done and over with, and you'll be like, yeah, that bear hunt thing's no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun regardless because, I feel like in the time, my dad, he's going to stay up there until he shoots a bear. So he's going up there and he'll be there until the end of October if that's what it takes. So he doesn't care. So for me, it's just going to be fun because Joe's going to be up there videoing, and so we can do some stuff, other things there with like the camp and, you know, all of
Cool story.
all of those things. Yeah, for sure.
Cool story. All right, hard transition whitetails. Let's talk about whitetails because it's September, now. So, where are you at with your whitetail journey? Because I feel like you alluded to it this winter and spring that you were gonna try to maybe find a little different type of deer to hunt. And I feel like I had a crazy busy spring or crazy busy summer, so we haven't talked very much. And I feel like what happened in that time frame is you like didn't have Nate in your ear saying, "Hey, you should be looking for bigger deer. You should be doing this," and you're like just kind of gave up on it. Is that the case, or you've been secretly behind closed doors seeking out and trying to find some new stuff and maybe shoot a little bit or target a little bit bigger deer this year?
I don't know. Well, I mean, so I have like some breaking news that I'm like absolutely unequivocally conflicted about. Okay.
So I like this.
I don't. But it's a new addition, something new for me. But Frank and I picked up a lease.
Whoa. Okay.
We were talking about it last year for like for my daughter for somewhere to hunt, like, and it's really cool because this year, the rifle opener is on a Saturday.
Yep.
Like, so for public land, worst thing ever.
Yep.
For private land, cool. We can take the kids, we can do whatever.
Yep.
Youth hunt here coming up this weekend. So we had already had a plan to leave camping. So as soon as all the cousins go to bed, we're driving back home, and we were going to hunt at my buddy's house. But we were talking about it last year, getting a lease, because Frank, he hunted the Patreon hunt last year on public for whitetails. He hunted behind his house. He hunted Ohio. I mean, obviously he hunted Colorado for elk and shot that elk last year. But as far as like whitetail hunting, he just didn't hunt, and so it's like, if we could find something by the house and blah, blah, blah. Well, my buddy has like all this property around him, and his buddy runs leases and stuff like that. So he had one lined up for us last year, and we were like, yep, we're going to do it 100%. And then it just fell through. And so we just kind of forgot about it. Well, then next thing you know, this year he's like, well, there's this lease over here, like da-da-da-da-da, like you should, if you don't want it, this guy's going to take it. But I told him, I was trying to get you one last year. So, so we ended up getting this lease, and there's a gun shack on it. There's a bunch of, there's big bucks all around. It's like I just told on the last podcast, like I talked to Matt, and I was like, if I kill a deer like that, or like if I kill a deer like by accident, like it isn't, I didn't put in any work, so it doesn't validate me. Like in this scenario, it feels like it's cheating, and I know, I mean, and I'm really, I guess like hoping to be humbled with a bow, but I feel like the hard part is over, and I feel like the hard part is finding one, like you said, right?
Yep.
So remove that from the equation. Instead of like driving by this, and this property is pretty cool. I'd drive by it and be like, oh man, I'd love to hunt that. Like, oh, it must be nice, right? Well, so now that's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, that's why I say, like, I'm absolutely 100% like conflicted, and I have to like temper myself to feel like I don't want to be like tied to this property, like handcuffed, like, oh, well, because I enjoy hunting. I enjoy like the hard part. I enjoy like all that stuff. So if I say, well, this buck only comes over here on a south wind and da 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 da, well, I'm just going to stay out of there till it's a south wind, and then only on the south wind days do I hunt. Like, and then you get in that like, oh, well, I'm not going to hunt here because I got good bucks over here that I'm just waiting for. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's such a crazy thing for me. But like another part of that is what you were talking about as far as like leveling up or like changing my thought process on deer. Like I don't have any cameras up. I'm taking this camera right here tomorrow, building a mock scrape over there on the lease, and I'm going up in the gun blind to get it squared away for my daughter for the youth hunt for this weekend. We're going to hunt there. But like I've got at least one or two trips. Well, I guess 2 or 3 trips, 1 or 2 bow trips, up to the UP set up. And I saw a couple good bucks in the UP, without, like doing my due diligence with just hunting like historical stuff. And if I would have walked around, if I would have like done like just the smallest amount of scouting, like I would have been in the game immediately. So that's changed. And I think I can get on a good buck up there. And when I go up there bear hunting, I'm going to like focus on putting out a couple mock scrapes, kind of reading the sign, and then either taking one of the cameras off of one of the bear baits that we're not utilizing, moving it around to get some more information up there. But around here, like I haven't really done a whole lot, but I have like a couple of spots in my back pocket where like I know for like I got the opener off for bow season, and I got I think the 6th off or something like that. And there's a couple of spots on public that I could hunt that are just really good early season, and especially I got another spot where I got to go get a camera and replace the batteries. That's really good when there's acorns, and we already talked about like the amount of acorns there are right now. So I'm kind of excited about going back in there. So my thought process has changed a little bit, but like this whole other thing has me like turned on my head.
Yeah, it's if I can give you any sort of like, I guess not pointers, but when I started hunting my private land pieces like I public land hunt, was way more successful, if that makes sense. As in, still like it takes time to learn a property no matter what. And when you're limited on size, you have to like, you can still scout it and still hunt it. Because I used to hunt that way. Like, oh, I can only hunt this property October 20th to 25th. Like, that's it. And it has to be a northwest wind. Like, I can never go in there. And then when I started mobile hunting and like I was sick of not hunting because of that or not having good hunts, I just learned how to hunt on multiple different winds and, picking my way through. I think if you just, are smart and learn access routes and stuff, you can definitely hunt more often. But I'm curious to see, because you give me a lot of crap about, oh, it's no big deal. You got them, all the guys bust my balls. So you got them all named and, all that stuff. And I think there are properties that are really that easy and like you can just show up there and shoot a deer. I haven't found that property yet here in the state of Michigan, but I am curious to see how you're going to like handle that because it's a different dynamic than you could wake up on a random Tuesday and know you can hunt that night, and it's like you can just have a plethora of opportunities and go enjoy that walk back into a swamp or this ridge top or something. Like, yeah, I'd like to know what that's like over there. When you have a private land piece, you don't really have that unknown feel when you go in there. But you also have that like for you, I think it's a little different because you're not necessarily doing this because you're trying to shoot a big buck. You're doing this so you can have opportunities for you and your daughter to make memories. And I think I think that's important. That's been probably my last 3 years, or 2 years for sure. My favorite part about food plotting and getting blinds ready and doing that is to be able to have some awesome hunts with my son. So I'm kind of excited for you guys to enjoy that, which you already have in the UP, but having another option closer home, I think is going to be a lot of fun for you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, another like way that like I'm conflicted is that I just feel like this piece of property, like with a rifle, like on opening day, like it's gonna be fun, like fun. But it's like, again, like, what did I accomplish? You know what I mean? Like not for likes or this or that, but like if I shoot a buck like bigger than anything that I've shot here in Michigan,
Yeah.
and hang it on the wall and be like, oh yeah, I shot that one with a gun on a lease. Like it doesn't, it holds no weight in my soul.
Yeah.
I guess like is
Yeah.
I would be that much less excited about it. But then I've like had the conversation
But
internally
you'll
and
still enjoy
externally.
the process, right? Like you'll still get excited and still like appreciate the animal,
I
like,
think
right? You're
it's
not going to take anything away from
no, no,
that
no, no.
aspect of
I
it.
think
You're
it's
just more so talking like you understand the level of effort people put into certain things, and you know, like this is just like I got lucky, kind of a thought.
well, but it's, I mean, it comes down to like, well, if I could have got that lease, you know, I would have did this or like that. And, I mean, and people say
Are
it all the
people that
time.
way?
Absolutely.
Oh, so like I'm kind of closed off to the lease game because I've never done that because I've
No,
just had good
I don't mean
stuff,
that.
but
I mean
like.
like, I mean just like people in general.
Because
Like
I think
it's
it
the
takes
must be
more than
nice
just
crowd.
that. Yeah, I guess that's like I didn't think of it that way. You still have to do a lot of things right and have luck in your side to kill deer on private or public land, I think. Don't you think? Like I know you're saying like you're coming to this with deer and you're probably gonna smash something the first time you hunt. But I think that there's still a lot like if I were to go like I'm on a decade of hunting these private pieces, some of these pieces. If I go slide in on like a date range that I've learned, like I'll call it right now, October 23rd, an evening hunt. I go slide to this spot that is like one of my favorite spots, and I wax a deer this fall. Um, I'm really excited that would happen, but like if I legitimately broke down the statistics and like what my success is going to be on that, I'd give myself like a 15% chance of success on that because I feel like there's just so many variables still in the game of bow hunting that have to go right for me to seal the deal, right? And this is like a spot where I've got some bucks behind me because of that area. Um, so I'm really curious to kind of this is going to be a good conversation going forward because you're probably going to hunt there like 3 or 4 times. Stella probably on the youth weekend. Hopefully she gets something, and you'll probably find yourself there with Frank at some point, or you might slide out there because it's going to be fun. And you got it, and be kind of fun to see what you're thinking. I don't want it to be a bad property, but I kind of want you just to like struggle maybe a little bit.
Yeah, when we get off here, I'll send you a pin, and I'll kind of break down what it looks like for you, and you'll be like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Adam's going to kill something.
But that's the thing is like when you talk about like how I feel, like I really liked like growing up, like doing the deer camp,
Mm-hmm.
like opening day, and hearing all the gunshots and like, but we were, hunting together. We were on our own property, so I didn't have to worry about there was nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
But then I also know, I guess, like how, I guess like when I've hunted before in some of these like ag properties or like some of this farmland and stuff like that, how deer, when the pressure gets ramped up, like on a day like opening day, how they use these like fence rows and ditch lines. And I remember one day we were muzzleloader hunting and we were driving deer, and we drove like maybe 4 properties, and we saw like 150 deer. I think we counted in 1 buck in there. But just to see the amount of deer, and like when there's pressure and when there's a guy here in this stand and this, how they move and how far they move, and just I don't know, that part excites me more than like killing one, just like to be out there like amongst all of the like chaos,
Yeah. If I had to pick when to hunt private land, if you're like, you can only pick 2 days or a day to hunt private land, what day would it be? It'd for sure be November 15th, just because of that. Like the family atmosphere, you're like pumped to like, if you hear shots, like, oh, is that grandpa? Or actually, if you hear multiple shots, that was grandpa, he's just burning lead. Then getting back to the house and having dinner or breakfast before opening morning, like all that stuff, I think is just fantastic. So I think you still have the right reason, right? It's still got to be the right motive. And I did listen to that episode you did with Matt, which I thought was great. And I think, like, I want to surround myself by people who are like, I have no problem with chasing big bucks and like trying to become the best we can at, this game of chasing whitetails, because there's a lot of things that go into it. But also, I don't want to be friends with people who all they care about is the size of the deer they shoot, right? Like, if it's like, oh, I'm a nobody, or I'm trying to be somebody because of antlers on the wall, like, dude, you're missing the point here. Like the friendships and the experiences and all that stuff. And I think it's cool that you got hopefully a good lease, and that came because you have the right connection, right? If you're an a-hole, that guy probably would have gave the lease away. But because, there's a lot of things that go right to get those kind of things. And Frank's getting up there in age too, and just be able to spend time with him, like there's a lot of good that can come from that.
Well, and that's one of the things is like, so in all the years that Frank has hunted and all the deer that he's killed, like he's never killed like a really good buck. And it's been a long time since he's killed a decent buck.
What's the rack? What's the wall of racks in his
Wall of
barn
Shame?
called? Wall of Shame. Gosh, I got to see that in person. Oh, that was awesome. Looks a lot like my grandpa's. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and those just used to be in a box. And like just the one day, like I came over and he's screwing them all to the wall. And I mean, I think there's 30 of them up there.
There's a lot. And he's got some unique racks too. Like, for not being the Wall of Shame, he's got some goofy buggers up there. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Put him out of his misery, I think is what he said.
Well, the Corsican Ram buck, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
So that'd be cool for him to get a good buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like he's been close, like in Ohio and stuff. So he just can't quite, just that illusion of getting an arrow.
He missed one that the outfitter he was hunting. We hunted with him in Missouri. Eric and I did, him and Ernie, and they left there and went to an outfitter in Nebraska.
Okay.
And he missed like 20-yard broadside shot on like what the outfitter said was about 180. It was a 12-point like picket fence buck.
Man, yeah. He'll get one. He'll get one hopefully.
Yeah.
So are you? I guess are you mentally like? Are you almost? I'm trying to think how to word this. Do you feel like you're going to put less effort onto public land this year because you have this lease? Because you know that you're going to have your free time is going to be allocated there? Is that kind of bothering you? Or is it more of like you don't know how you're going to feel if you shoot a nice buck on this property? Like what's like the...
Yeah, because I mean...
What's the hold up, I guess, with it?
Because it's like... I guess I feel like... And you've said this too. Like, I guess I feel like I have the tools to kill a bigger class buck. But if I do it with like training wheel, like it's like I feel like about the wastewater, and I haven't killed a big buck on the wastewater. But there's a lot of guys and there's a lot of factors there. but you don't have to. And I've driven around there a couple times this year, and there's not that. I think EHD did a number on deer in that area. However, you don't really have to find them. There's deer there. Like, you don't have to find deer. And I feel the same way about this, is like killing them, or like setting up right, or finding the wind, and, the conditions and all those things. It's locating them. So like if I'm just given this place where they like to be, and then I go in there and I just do what I'm supposed to do, what
You're
did
gonna
I
pass deer.
what
You're
did
gonna
I
have to
accomplish?
You're gonna have to pass deer now.
And that was the thing, is like I don't know if it was not last year, 2 years ago, like at the wastewater, I passed so many small bucks, and more than I ever have in my lifetime, and just waiting on like a bigger one, and like I couldn't get it done. And so it's like yeah, like I get that. Like maybe that's what I need to be around, is bigger deer more to understand them here in Michigan. Like I said, I hope that I'm like wrong and that I'm humbled, but I really, even more so, like I want Frank to shoot something good. I want him to have like a good experience, and he's like, well, what are we going to shoot? Like, what's the criteria? And I said, well, we got to get a camera in there. We need to see what's there before we just decide that. And he's like, well, and my buddy, he doesn't shoot does. So like when Stella was there on the youth hunt, she had all these does like in the scope, and she's like, can you just call them and see if we can shoot a deer? And I was like, he's not going to let you shoot a doe. Like it's the rules of the property. So for her to be able to go out there and just shoot a doe because she just wants to shoot a deer, and have a place to be able to do that, like unencumbered, like that's cool, Yeah,
you're gonna have to. It is different. Like, I think that's why, it's easy for me to pass deer, because I have deer, right? Like, I've always been very open that the properties I get to hunt it's not a deer problem at all. Like, high density, if I wanted just to kill stuff, like I could probably, punch a lot of tags in that regard. So maybe like growing up surrounded by that, it was easy for me to challenge myself by, targeting the less, what's the word I'm looking for? There's not as many 3-year-olds, and then there wasn't as many 4-year-olds, and then now there's not as many 5-year-olds. So like I kind of like climbed the ladder that way, because I was able to kill a lot of deer at a young age. So guys like you, or who have experienced life a little differently, I can see why there's a little bit of pushback, because they're like, well, I've hunted a whole year and barely seen anything, and I'm like, just pass the first few and a bigger one will come out. Like, but we hunt such different areas. That's why. And it's kind of funny because this year I finally put trail cameras out at my grandpa's property, and I just did 4 SD card cameras. I don't even have a cell camera out right now. And I don't even know if I'm gonna pull one out. To tell you the truth, how crazy my September's been, and July and August. Like, I got food plots in barely, and I have a hit list in my head because of what I seen last year. And it's like, I really think about it. It's like, I really used my trail cameras to try to kill that deer last year, and had great hunts, right? But like, the deer I was getting in front of me, and the deer I was on, and the deer I've killed in the past, I don't really get a lot of like great trail cam intel on them. It's more of just knowing they're there, and it's like, do I really need trail cameras, and the price of them? It's like, dude, these cameras now need 16 batteries, and the plans are expensive. It's like, man, I could save that money, and that could be my fuel to go back out to Wyoming. So I'm kind of in a weird spot with trail cameras, and hunt Kansas last year with no trail cameras, or anytime I hunt out of state, I don't ever bring trail cameras. It's like, it's a lot of fun. So I might kind of take it a little easy on the trail cameras this year, and just see how that goes. Not because I want to be like, oh, you shouldn't use cell cameras because it's unethical. It's more of just like, I only got so much time to allocate with football practice now and work and all that stuff. It's like, maybe it's not worth the hassle. So Now, if I picked up a brand new property, right? Like if one of these, I'm knocking on a door this week, hopefully, and I get permission, I'll probably want to put a camera out there just because I don't know nothing about it. But these properties that I've known for a long time, I'm kind of just like, man, I'm just gonna pretty much wing it. And like I've walked out there and I see the tracks, and it's like, okay, like that track is freaking giant. So that buck from last year is probably that deer. Like there's a good chance like that's enough intel for me to want to go hunt, and I can, the typical ag field stuff where I can see long ways, and I got a lot of that stuff going for me too. But it's just weird. This is the first year in a long, I mean, ever that my desire to get trail cam pictures is like minimal. And I don't know if that's lingering from last year, which you've talked about a little bit, like maybe that deer getting away bothered me way more than it should, and knowing how many deer die from EHD, it's just kind of a weird it's a weird fall for me. I'm super excited, can't wait to get in a tree, but it's like I don't really need to have this like what good is all these pictures do on my computer screen, right? Kind of a thing. Like it's not going to make me enjoy my hunt more because I got 100 pictures or 10 pictures, right?
I mean, you're you're talking to a guy who like just likes to go out and get surprised, and be correct. So it doesn't have to be, splits or, bones.
I got BG, I got B8, I got Caveman. I got names from deer from last year, so I haven't get rid of the names yet. So
yeah. So.
Well, you got a deer you got to look for though.
I do.
Can't sleep on. We both do. I've been looking for the recurve buck, and I thought I seen him this spring before he shed, and I have yet to come up on him in velvet. So I'm hoping I get on that. That probably would be one of my highlights for this year. If I see he's back, if I glass him up, I might make me go dust the recurve off and start shooting if I see that deer again, because that'd be a really cool buck to kill. And your nose buck, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, that'd be a fun one for you to get on too this year.
Yeah. So, I was actually thinking about I need to go up there and drop a camera there, and I may do that tomorrow because I have to go get my trailer. So,
okay,
I may sneak in there and put a camera up.
So, do you have more than 4 cameras up right now?
No, I have. Well, so
Not
I have 2,
including your bear bait cameras.
Oh no, then I have.
Don't count your bear bait.
I have
cameras,
no
just
cameras.
for whitetails.
I have no cameras. I have one camera that's been. So I pulled this camera that was up for 2 years, and then I have another one that's been up for 2 or 3 years. It's just in such the most awful spot in the whole wide world. It's the one like I made that meme with the guy from Castaway. Where he's like, I know where there's more rope. And he's like, I'm not going back up there. Like, that's where my camera's at. Like, it's there.
Oh, man. So you're going to ramp up some cameras in the next couple weeks, maybe?
Yeah.
Or are you only going to do a handful? You're doing the one, the lease, and then how many public land cameras do you think
2.
you'll have?
I'm going to put 2 out.
Is that normal for you to have only that many?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, between me and my dad, we have like 13 cell cameras and like 10. I'm like 20-ish cameras usually every year.
No.
So for me to have only 4 up right now is like, this is weird.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put one over there for some inventory. I'm going to put one back there because this is about the time like when they really start moving through that area, when they start shedding velvet. I may put one on that piece of public where I said it's like really good early. I have another spot. There's a couple cameras over there already, but there's a spot on public that Jake and I scouted, and it just looks like too good. And there's guys that are hunting around it, but they're not hunting in the right spot. And there's like one really, really old, like busted up ladder stand that I don't think anybody's used in a while. Mm-hmm. And I got to talk. I have to call the DNR to find out about access, because the access to get in there isn't terrible, but it's the way that everybody else accesses it. and there's a way to access it with an e-bike, like that would make you bulletproof, like absolutely bulletproof. But it's just kind of like a weird situation. So I got to get a hold of the DNR and say, hey, what's the
double check it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the Patreon hunt too this year, just because I want to expand on that property that I hunted last year, and hopefully I can make some time to go there for more than a day or two.
Well, I mean, you got sick days. You know, you got.
Yeah.
You could be bidding some jobs up there or something.
Yeah, we can make something work. It's just gotta get a lot done. So, yeah. But it'll be because that's what year is that for Patreon? Is this year 3 or year 4?
3. Yep.
3. Nice. This will be really good. Be really good fun to do that. No, year 4, right? Because I went last year's year 3, right?
Yeah, because I saw I think it said. I think it was 22. So this would be 4, 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
25.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year.
Kill some more deer. Do you know the stats off the top of your head?
Well, I think the first year we killed like 5, and I think year 2 we killed 6, and I think last year we killed 9.
Yep.
We've only killed 2 bucks. Like Tim Clark killed that 8-point, and well, actually we killed 3 bucks. Jason. Like after everybody was like packed up and leaving, stalked in, and he shot a spike that he thought was a doe. And then Kyle shot that spike.
Yep.
And that was it. But I think every year it's been going more and more. But this year I was texting Tim and I was like, this year it's bucks, like plural, like bucks.
And double digit. We gotta get to double digits. Be cool.
Well,
enough arrows are shot to have double digit deer killed every year, but hopefully we can get double digits.
Well, each year someone has killed more than 2 deer.
Yeah.
Or has killed 2 deer. So Brian killed 2 last year. I think Tyler killed 2. Mapes killed 2. And I think Joe killed 3.
The one time he just murdered a whole family.
Yeah, the whole family group. Yeah,
cool.
So,
we'll be talking about that here in a few weeks too. So that'll be exciting. We're like a month out from that already.
Yeah, just about. Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Good time. Well, I think that's it, man, for me, man. Whitetail wise, unless you got any super good questions for me.
No,
we're almost 3 hours in already. Wow.
No, it's fine. I'll revisit talking with you about whitetail. So
yeah, we will. We'll get some more whitetail talk for sure.
All right, we'll sign it off there, Mr. Michigan Wild Pod.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for sticking around with me and Adam. Just kind of have a general discussion here. We haven't talked to each other for a while, so you gotta get some more small talk in there too. But make sure you follow Adam, Bowhunter Chronicles, if you haven't. Follow me on Michigan Wild Pod, both of us on Instagram. And check out Rome too. We got hopefully a bear hunt will be on there in the future. No muley content for me really. There's some spotter video, but maybe I'll go back and do that too. So make sure you give Rome a follow on social media and check it out on YouTube. And hopefully we'll have some fun hunts hopefully on that this fall. All that, but yeah, you guys know what to do. Get out there this week. Catch you next week.
Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
This episode is brought to you by Boat Trader, America's largest boating marketplace. Whether you're buying, selling, or upgrading, the Boat Trader app makes it easy. With the biggest selection of new and used boats from dealers and private sellers. Browse, compare, and even apply for financing. All in one place. Download the Boat Trader app and start your search today.